Yeah, actually, I started in a movie called Machete.
Machete.
Yeah.
Money well spent, I move just fine, trust me.
Shares the freedom of creativity. Prison or prison?
You can spend your last five, it's worth it.
Indigenous sparrow who believes the tongue to be far more beautiful.
I know this economic depression hurting y'all, but I got so much.
I showed him the video. He broke down crying.
King of the South, it stars Little Joe. This is like theater.
Yeah, man.
That's what we did the other day when we shot, man. It was improv.
Yeah.
I had two strong actors, man. They went at it like heavyweight.
Oh, it's some good improv?
They went at it like heavyweight.
Alright, we're gonna run it in 3, 2. What's good in the hood? This is For the Thrill Podcast. I am your host, MC Thrills, co-hosted by Poppy X De Niro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got special guests in the building. Carmona, you already know what time it is. Director, actor, writer, and so much more. I just want you to give the people that don't know who you are just a brief description, and then we can get into the questions and move forward.
Okay, my name is Carmona. I'm a writer, director, filmmaker, actor, producer. I've been doing this for about 18 years now. I'm currently working on a project called King of the South with Little Joe from Little Joy La Familia.
Yes, dope. Again, I'm glad you came through. I appreciate you. We actually met through Cindy. Shout out Cindy for the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I had Cindy's son, who she also manages, Gabriel, on here, which was also a dope episode. Man, again, thank you for showing up, and
Thank you for having me.
yeah, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that plate too.
Oh, the plate, yes. Shout out, It's Hitting Kitchen. Gave us some nice platters. We had some rice, some avocado, some good meat. It was the bomb. We tore it up. We tore it up. But how you doing, man? How's everything going?
It's going good, man. I'm doing fine, man.
Good. Yeah, of course. Currently working on the King of the South project. That's your most recent project.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What made you step into this field? Because it's a lot that goes on with all of those dynamics. Was there one that you touched first and then moved to the other one, or were you like?
Yeah, actually, I started in a movie called Machete.
Machete.
Yeah. Back in, I think it was 2012.
Yeah, see? And that's why I like those reactions. What? You said? Yeah, he told me that when we met, but that's good. I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
But
You started in the movie Machete?
Mm-hmm. Now, I went to pick up a friend. His name was Diego. And, he was born and bred in Austin. He was auditioning all the time. I had just moved there, and I worked with him at a restaurant, and he asked me to pick him up that he was auditioning. So I went to Troublemakers to pick him up. And while I was there, when I walked in, the lady was like, "Hey, you're late." I go, "I'm late?" I said, "Man, I was just here to pick up Diego." She goes, "Here, write your name down." So I wrote my name down.
you just went with the flow?
Yeah, and she goes, "Here, hold it up." And she took my Polaroid, and she goes, "If we like you, we'll call you."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh wow, I'm here to pick up Diego." So the next day, I was at a bar with my uncles. I had a couple uncles that lived in Austin.
Okay.
And they're practical jokers. I mean, like, they know someone that has an ambulance type stuff, and like they're all into this, pranking each other. So I got a phone call, and they said, "Is this Carmona, Gabriel Carmona?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "This is Beth Sepko from Beth Sepko Casting Agency."
You thought it was a joke?
I thought it was a joke. And she said, "We're interested in blah blah blah." And I said, "Yeah, have your people call my people." Boom.
Hung up on her.
Right. My uncle said, "Who was that?" I said, "Like you don't know, bro." Right. A few minutes later, call me back again. She goes, "Is this Carmona, Gabriel Carmona?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said who she was again. She goes, "Are you interested in this role?" I said, "Yeah. Like email me. Like I said, have your people call my people."
You still thought it was a joke?
Yeah. Again, man. And I told my tío, I said, "Man, y'all are good, man." I got home, checked my email, and it was directions to Troublemaker Studios.
Wow.
So it was the real deal, man.
Wow. I mean, she didn't even have to send it after hearing that. She could have been like, "Oh, you know what?" But it was meant to be, huh?
It was meant to be.
After you found out it was real, like, did you like go back and apologize to your uncle?
No, I didn't, man. Actually, when I got to the set, I walked in and I picked up a clipboard.
You still thinking everything is a joke?
Yeah. I picked up this clipboard and I saw this beautiful, beautiful girl, man. Her name is Mayra Leo. she walked over to the table and she goes, "Is this where we sign in?" And I said, "Yeah, just sign your name and your phone number right here, and everything that you've been in, and what you'll do and what you won't do."
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear a voice say, "You must be Carmona." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm Beth."
That's the one that talked to you on the phone.
Mm-hmm. She goes, "He's not a casting director." I said, "Hey, I was acting.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretending."
Uh-huh. That's funny.
But the part that I was in Machete was,
I'm still mind blown by that, man. So when you say Machete, I'm just trying to make sure, because as a kid I watched these movies. You talking about Danny Trejo, Machete?
Yeah.
No freaking way, bro.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He's actually a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Man. Mm-hmm. Because we weren't like main characters. We were like background actors and things like that. And
But you were in the movie?
Yeah. I'm at the very beginning, man. And when I read the script...
The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
What the fuck, bro? Now...
Yeah. It's at the very, very beginning. It's like...
I know I paid attention to the movie,
when
the
van pulls up
and
everybody jumps out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm one of those guys.
Nice. What year was that?
I think 2012.
2012. So this was like your first dip into the acting
Oh,
atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is gonna be so... Bro, I'm so tuned in now.
Dude, I tell you what though, man. So after that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I went to auditions, and they'd say, "Well, who have you worked with?" And in that movie,
I'm glad you said
De
that. 'Cause-
Niro,
Oh, yeah.
Seagal, Michelle Rodriguez, Lindsay Lohan, Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
I mean, De Niro.
Wait, you said that, or you actually worked with those? Like, it was that. So this was when they asked you when you first signed up. So
No, this is after I'd done the movie Machete. When I went to other auditions, they'd say, "Hey, so who have you worked with?" And I was like, "You didn't ask me in what capacity."
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So
yeah, you're right.
As soon as I wrote De Niro, Seagal, top of the pile.
Yeah, no, that's dope. And that was what leading into the other roles, and then you use that as because it's the truth. You work with those people.
Before you got here, I was asked because he was telling me that I was like, yeah, he's a director. I was like, okay, cool. And he was telling me, and then he was telling me, yeah, he got this movie King of the South that's his upcoming project coming out. And I was like, okay. And I was asking him, I was like, is he local? Because I ain't never heard of King of the South. He said, but that's upcoming. So I was like, does he have any other movies? Because now I'm trying to be like, you know, get a little bit of information and see like where I was like where you at in as far as the movie industry and everything like that. See. I obviously like he didn't tell me much at there, bro. That's wild. That's mind blowing. I fuck with
What I said we got a podcast. Ask the questions.
I fuck with Machete. Like that movie just, bro. I watch that shit like so many times. Like Machete is just, it's the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that dude over here, like he's the he may be a good guy in person, obviously. Like you know, as far as his acting, but in acting, bro, he kills it.
Oh, he kills it, man.
Man, he kills it every time.
Were you able to get any personal tips off him, or able to talk to anybody and get any personal tips from anybody during that process to help you move forward?
You know what he did tell me? Like I said, he was really down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other actors, like they were on set, you couldn't look at them.
Yeah.
They would
wow.
come tell you, hey, De Niro's going to be here. You know, don't look in his direction.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like we were waiting for our scene to start, and it was hot. And he came and brought us waters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he asked us where we were from. He saw us do our scene or whatever, and he said, "Hey," he said, "you know, you should just work on like your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like write your own stuff, direct yourself, like extenuate on the talents." He goes, "You have some talent. I can see it." He said, "Extenuate on those talents."
Then Trejo told you.
He said, "Just
that's
concentrate."
amazing, man.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
great advice, man.
Yeah,
it was great advice.
And you took it and ran with it, huh?
Well, I went to one more audition.
How was that looking like?
Well, that last audition I went to, when I walked in, it was for an urban film, which at the time I didn't know what that was. And urban was written by a black man, directed by a black man. So it was for black people, by black people.
Yeah.
And when I walked into the audition, he's like, "Say, homie, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm here to audition for the part." He said, "No, you're not." He said, "It's an urban film." I said, "Well, what's that?"
Yeah.
And when he explained it to me, I was like, "Man, I took 3 buses. Like, at least let me audition." So I auditioned. He said, "Man, it's too bad you're not black. Because if you were, I'd give
they
you
like
a
you.
part."
Yeah.
He says, "You have talent.
Uh-huh.
You do your own things."
Yeah.
So that was the second time somebody told me. So after he told me, I said, "You know what? I started a journey of writing and directing my own things.
Well, that's interesting because you went to this place just to pick somebody up.
Yeah.
And then ended up being, you was auditioning that night, right? That day?
No. They'll just take your picture.
Oh, okay.
A Polaroid. So it's not even based on your talent.
Oh, okay.
It's more like, what do you look like?
But that right there kind of inspired you to move forward because you were like, oh, you did this. It was, you got into that role with a breeze, and then you was like, okay, let me go.
Well, I was a writer anyway. You know?
Oh, okay, so you was a writer. So you was a writer first.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, you know what? Let's take this shot real quick. That's what we're gonna do. I want you to actually let the audience know what we're taking this shot to.
Taking it to?
Yeah, what we toasting to?
We're toasting to the freedom of creativity.
Freedom of creativity. I like that one. Cheers to freedom of creativity. So when it comes down to your acting, your writing, so after that, where did that path lead you on your road? After that, did you write a movie before that or after that?
After that, I went back to East Texas,
Mm-hmm.
where was originally where I'm from, and I went to the movies with my daughter, and there was a poster of Machete hanging up behind us, and she goes, "Hey, Daddy, isn't that the movie you're in?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's it."
Mm-hmm.
So when the movie was over, I was walking back to the car. The manager of the movie theater come outside. He said, "Excuse me, sir. You know, my concession stand worker." He goes, "Man, I'm a filmmaker. In Nacogdoches, there's a university, Stephen F. Austin. They have a film department."
Okay.
So he's like, "Man, I'm a film student. Were you in the movie Machete?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He's like, "What?" He's like, "That's Robert Rodriguez. That's my favorite. That's my hero." This and that. He said, "I'm a filmmaker, but I'm looking for an actor." And I said, "Well, I'm an actor. You know, so I'm a writer too." So we got together and we put some flyers out.
Okay.
Old school.
Okay.
And I was.
And this was back in what year?
2013.
2013. Okay.
It was right after I did Machete.
Oh, okay. So this is relatively okay.
Yeah, probably like 6 months to a year after.
Yes,
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, so then we had a meeting. We put flyers out, said, "Hey, if you want to make a movie, meet us at this restaurant at this time." We had a group of people come. I passed out these cards. Said, "Write your 3 favorite movies on there, your information on the back." And we started a film group. We called it NAC Film Theater.
Okay. NAC Film Theory. Is that something you stuck with, or just for that time? For the collaboration.
For that collaboration. Because from there, we did 1 short film a month.
Okay.
Right, which I just announced that, and the guy who had actually made films, he's like, "Hey man, do you know how hard that's going to be?" And I was like, "Hey, how hard can it be?" But I had no idea what I was talking about. As a writer, actor, you don't think about the editing process. You don't think about the lighting and the sound and the color grading and all those things. And those things
it takes a lot of work. Yeah. Wow.
So I started that journey. We did 1 short film a year. Won some awards. So then in the movie Machete, I played wetback number 3. No, dude.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's what it was called. That's what it was
No,
called.
I believe it. I haven't seen the first Machete in, like, to be honest, since 2012.
Yeah.
I was younger back then. I was actually working for a video game store called Try Before You Buy. And I was only 15 though. Like I came a lot to that store, and then he ended up telling me he couldn't hire me because he couldn't put me on payroll. And I said, no, that's fine. I said I would be honored to work here. So he ended up telling me, he was like, "How would you like if I paid you in games?" I said, and I was a kid, yeah, let's do it. Paid me in games, controllers, my own system. He bought me. We got such a close bond. He bought me a motorcycle, and then I was able to kick back and watch Netflix. And what was I watching on Netflix? Machete. It was like Machete, man. It's amazing, and it's crazy that was back in 2015, bro. That was, it was like what, 14 years ago? About 14 years ago. And like now I'm talking something that was actually in Machete. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing.
We actually did a show because it was wetback number 3.
Yeah.
Mojado number 3. So like I told you about my uncles.
Yeah.
They were pranksters. So I'd be out, in Austin, and they'd say, "Hey, we're over here." I'd show up and they'd have some chicks with me and say, "Hey, tell them movie you were in? I said, I was in Machete. He said, tell me what role you played. See what I'm saying? And I said, Wetback number 3, and everybody would start laughing. And on the cool, after a while, like, man, it kind of started to bother me, man.
Yeah. Oh, they kind of...
Yeah. So this is what I did about that, man. You know, I started questioning, well, what happened to Wetback number 3? You know, because in the beginning of the movie, they all scattered. Right? But we never know what happened to them. And I said, well, I'm going to do a show based on that character. So sort of like what they used to do back in the day when they would have a movie and then they'd have a TV show, they'd have the original character from the movie come in on the pilot and say like, oh, this is my primo. So now you follow the primo.
Right.
So I was like, well, that's the TV that I grew up on. I said, well, I'll just like do my own version of Machete. And that's what I did. It was called Caballero.
Oh, wow. And where can we find that?
Yeah, you can find that on YouTube.
Yeah, I got to, man, because
you can find that.
I feel like you already.
NAC Film Theory.
Now, did you was that kind of like? Did you do that like as a separate thing? So like that was the idea, but it wasn't actually under.
No, yeah, exactly. But
but
this is what we did, man. So right around that time, I guess it was like 2014, maybe. Robert Rodriguez was in talks to start his own network called El Rey Network.
Okay.
Right? So we got a call from Comcast out of Houston. They had seen some of the episodes of Caballero. So they were interested in sponsoring us, and they're going to show that on their cable network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we went to that meeting, and then the last leg of Caballero, we moved to Austin, and we had creative differences.
Oh.
And we were like maybe 2 episodes away from finishing.
Between you and your partner?
Me and my partner.
Oh, okay. Is that what kind of separate? Yeah, separate. Oh, man.
And then from there...
So, if y'all would have came together, you think you would be on the cable network now? Like, that would have been on the cable network?
Well, we went ahead and put all the graphics on it like it was.
Oh, okay.
So it became like people would start asking Robert Rodriguez, hey, so what's up with this show, Caballero? Which, he had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
But, it picked up the steam, but like I said, man, we disbanded.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much thought, well, yeah, I got pretty close, man. And that's probably as close as I'm going to get. And then I took a break.
So how many shows you did of that?
Of Caballero?
Yeah, seasons or?
We did 1 season.
1 season?
We did 7 episodes.
7 episodes, okay, nice. Okay, I'm going to have to look that up on YouTube. What's the YouTube channel?
NAC Film Theory.
NAC Film Theory,
yeah,
okay.
NAC Film Theory.
NAC Film Theory. And then after that was just basically the end of y'all journey.
Yeah, and it was the end of mine.
Oh.
I didn't shoot or create anything for 9 years.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So how about as far as acting, did you?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, wow. Now, let's go back a little bit before Machete. What inspired you to even write? What inspired you to...
Oh, man. We talked about this earlier, man, with some friends. When I was a kid, my father was in the radio station business, right? So part of his contract is he wanted to live like directly behind the radio station. So they would set up like a trailer house, right? Well, back in the 80s, most of the radio stations were outside the city limits, which meant that I didn't have any friends, right? We lived way the hell out there, man. But if anything came to town, like monster trucks, wrestling, carnival, we would get like those rolls of tickets, right? Because they would promote it and give away prizes and stuff like that. So this particular year, the wrestlers were coming, and my stepdad was like, "Hey, these wrestlers are coming. Do you want to meet them?" I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, I want to meet them."
Facts, yeah, I want to see. You big on wrestling?
Well, I was.
You was? Okay.
I was until I finished the story. What? So I'm listening on the radio station because he tells me they're going to come in and do some promos if you want to meet him. Just listen. And I said, okay. So I'm in the trailer, man. I'm listening to the radio show, and they're on there talking, hey, everybody come out to the Civic Center tonight. We're going to entertain the folks and show people, what it's about and esto y lo otro. And then they start fighting, right? Within themselves in the booth. You hear them like... And so I take off running, man, right? So they buzz me into the radio station. I go into the booth, and they're not in there. And the DJ says they're in the lobby, right? So I go in the lobby, and, like, I'm not prepared for what I see. You know, like these are mortal enemies, and they're like having coffee, smoking cigarettes. The dude that's from parts unknown that doesn't speak English, he's from like Detroit, and they're speaking away, man. So you know, I was like maybe 10.
Right, you're like, where's the accent at? What's the why they not fighting? Yeah, why are they not going at each other?
I didn't understand, man. Right, so when I went to the wrestling match that night, we had like front row seats, man. But I just wasn't
interested after that.
My dad said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, it's not real, man." You know? And as a kid, it really made me think, like, well, what else isn't real?
That over there just sparked something in you, huh?
Yeah, and what got me into writing was about a record.
Mm-hmm.
It was Purple Rain by Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I was 10, so my mind was at a point where, you know, I had just been exposed to what I thought was true was a lie. So that made me really question a lot of things.
Yep.
And the music and the lyrics really resonated with me. So I started writing.
So you started off into writing as a musician. Is that?
No, just as because back then the record came with the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just read the lyrics, and that was poetry.
Gotcha.
So then I started writing that.
Oh, okay.
It was more poetry than anything.
So so you started off writing poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you got any of your old stuff? Anything you remember?
Probably not.
No?
Not that I remember.
And you haven't wrote anything recently? Any poetry?
Mm-hmm, I have.
Let me hear something.
Oh, man. Indigenous sparrow who believes the tumble to be far more beautiful than actual flight.
That would be considered a haiku?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, the sparrow that believes the tumble to be far more beautiful than actual flight is, you know, when you got to go out and get it. Like sometimes that's the best part.
Yeah.
Is going to get it, and maybe you don't get it. Right, but you go again. So the actual flight is beautiful.
Yeah.
But for me, I believe the struggle is is really the highlight, man.
You say a lot within a few words.
I got a question because you said Lil Joey.
Lil Joe.
Oh, Lil Joe. You said you had something with La Familia. Was that like a show or something?
King of the South.
Oh, King of the South.
It's a movie.
The King of the South. It stars Lil Joe.
Oh, okay.
From Lil Joe to La Familia.
Lil Joe, so La Familia, is that another show? Or?
No, that's what his group is called.
Oh, it's called La Familia. Okay.
Lil Joe, La Familia. Okay. And they've been around since like the 60s.
Gotcha. Okay.
What are I would say the main themes or messages you try to convey in your work?
Magic.
Magic? What type of magic?
You know that a lot of times with my cultura of Mexica, Mexican, we're portrayed as cartel members or gangsters, things like that. And, you know, Hollywood will throw a lot of money at you if you're portraying that stereotype. But the minute you try to do something outside of that, the support really isn't there. Right? So magic for me is like a dishwasher, you know, who dreams of doing Shakespeare, but who does Shakespeare in Spanish. You know,
or different.
Or a garbage man who, you know, who's come home from the war and can't really relate with the world anymore.
Yeah.
But becomes friends with a boy who's like 11. And of course, people start to question the validity of a relationship between a grown man and a child.
Right.
But in the story, it's called Pedro Pan. My garbage man flies. Right? That's exactly what the dad says. He goes, what?
I'm a dad. That's crazy you said it. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So magic like that, man, to say that we as a people aren't necessarily just those things. And because we do these jobs, which there's nothing wrong with any of these jobs, you know, but that we're more than that. We're more than the sum of our parts, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like to highlight is...
That's one of the messages you convey. Yeah.
Is going home with some of these people and finding out, you know, that there's more to them.
Like the inner desires, passions. So, if other than this field, is there anything, other hobbies or anything else you were interested in? Or are interested in that other than the film, directing, writing, is there anything else?
Yeah, I play basketball, man. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
huge basketball fan. But I like those things like bike riding too, because for me, you know, like especially if I'm playing basketball, whatever that's going on in my life doesn't really matter because you know, in basketball there's an objective, the ball, and that's it. You know? So it's sort of a way like to meditate, but it also makes me feel like a kid. You know, it's very simple.
Me as a kid, like I like basketball. I suck at it. To be honest, I suck at it. And the fact that you said that you know you played basketball and everything like that, that's inspiring because like my mom always told me when I was a kid, like don't ever judge a book by its cover. I never thought I'd be like literally in the same room as someone that played machete. Like to me, that's big. Maybe not to other people, but to me, that's big. You know. And then the fact that you just said right now that you played basketball, it's like what?
Well, I never thought I'd be sitting in the room with you guys.
yeah. That's awesome. How was it working with Danny Trejo, man? Because Danny Trejo, he didn't just play in Machete. Yeah, he was a big role in Machete, but he was also in Blood and Blood Out. That's my favorite movie, man. So, how was it working with him?
Man, like I said, he was very, very down to earth, man. He wasn't. There were some other people that were there that were not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they were kind of rude. But you know where he's at in his life, especially in his career as a direct result of him always doing for others. You know, he has like 50 years clean and sober.
Mm.
And when you live that lifestyle of you give, you know, it all comes back.
Yeah, that's good. So the character he played, even though he was acting and he seemed mean in the acts, but he was against villains too.
Yeah,
he was basically the whole city's hero.
Yeah, and, and that's kind of, I guess it just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
You know, you bring up an interesting point because a lot of people ask me, well, what's King of the South about?
I was about to ask you that, but go ahead.
Yeah, you know, and King of the South is about a lot of things, but mainly it's about the infrastructure of this country and how it minimalizes certain people. You know, and we, as Mexicanos, we had Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
You know, but we didn't have anybody after that, and we haven't had anybody since. King of the South is sort of like bringing all these characters of like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. You know, parts of history, you know, because all those men died within a decade.
Right.
Those were all really important men who all had one thing in common. They had iron in their tongue. And people followed that. And so when you become that outspoken, you know, they get rid of you. Or in some way try to discredit you. But like I said, we as a people, Mexicanos, we didn't have that hero. And so kind of King of the South was born out of that necessity.
So is this, like, King of the South, is this the 9 years later?
Do it now?
So, because when you said earlier 9 years later, you started, is King of the South the first project since?
No.
Okay,
no.
What's the first project?
The first project now was
after the 9 years.
A friend of mine that had moved to LA to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Albie Savani, Savani Films, AV Films. He reached out to me. He heard I was in the area. He goes, "Hey man, you know, so I'm doing these real estate videos on the Woodlands," and he showed them to me. And you know, when someone has an eye for cinema, you know, that's different. Film and cinema, to me, are two different things.
Yeah, two different things. Right?
Yeah, film is like a marble.
Yeah.
You know, for sensory, it looks cool. You know, it sounds cool. But film is something that creeps up inside you, you know, or gets in your mind. You know? So the shots that he was doing, even though they were like the shots of a table or an island in his apartments, it's the point of view that he took. It was just different, man. It really stood out. And I said, "Hey man, you're a filmmaker." He goes, "Well, let's do something." I said, "No, man, I don't really do that." He says, "Come on, man. I'll be in town. Let's shoot something." Well, he showed up Saturday morning. He goes, "You have something?" I said, I think I do." He says, "Well, where's the script?" I said, "Right here." I wrote a shot list on my hand.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? He was game. And we shot it. It was called a Rite of Passage. And that was like my first piece of work, like in 9 years.
It was called Rite of Passage?
Rite of Passage.
That's interesting. You wrote that on your hand.
Yeah. Well, it was just shots, because
Yeah.
we did it as a silent film, man. And
That's still good though, bro. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of talented. If you could write it to where people could actually read it, that's on your hand.
Yeah.
Like me, if I would write something, I would have to write it big for someone to understand it. But it's not gonna be like even shots of
well, I wrote like maybe 9 things.
Yeah.
9 things in order, and I work best like less is
So that was the scenes.
And the scenes for me as a writer, if you're a good writer, the scenes speak for themselves.
Yeah.
You don't really need any words. And like I said, man, it'd been a while, man. So I was firing on these cylinders.
So was all that improv?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what we came up with was won a few awards, man.
Oh wow.
That kind of got me back in. So he came back the next.
Rite of Passage. And where can we find that at?
We can find that on AV Films.
AV Films.
On Vimeo.
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 Vimeo. VMIO.
Yeah, VIMEO.
Oh, Vimeo.
Vimeo. Okay. Okay, Vimeo. Okay.
Sorry, I'm very good at spelling. So as soon as you said Vimeo, I was like, it sound like Vimeo, but let me go ahead and
appreciate it. Yeah, and then he came back and was like, hey, let's do another one.
Yeah.
And we did one called Lava Platos. And Lava.
Watch the dish.
Yeah. and actually Lava Platos.
I thought Platos was plates. Go ahead.
Yeah. And actually Lava Platos was the introduction of the character of King of the South.
Yeah.
So he asked me, he said, hey man, so you have any more stories? And I said, I do. So I wrote Lava Platos, and in Lava Platos there's actually 3 stories.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so we kind of touch up on those. I introduced the character King of the South for one.
Within Lava Platos.
Within Lava Platos.
Interesting.
And then I introduced the story that the King of the South tells in this movie.
And what year is this?
This is maybe 2-3 years ago.
2-3 years ago. Okay. So you introduced this character knowing you were gonna make King of the South, or it was one of those when you just created the character and then found out you wanted to do it, the King of the South, afterwards?
Well, I wrote it, and the waiter in the movie says, "Man, what's he doing here? Do you know who that is?" And as I'm writing it, he said, "That's the King of the South." And that was the first time I had written that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so this character is identified as that. And then, like right after that, my grandmother got sick, Manuela, right? And so I took care of her for 6 months, the whole time, right before she passed away. So I stopped making film for that period, man, taking care of her, right? And hospice came in, and they're like, hey, all we can do is make her feel comfortable. So I didn't even have time to really push Lava Platos. I had no idea what was going on with it, because I checked out. I was my grandmother's caretaker 24/7.
Of course.
And then, that puts you in another mind frame. Man.
Yeah, it do.
So, like I said, for 6 months I was with her. So that film Lava Platos was doing all this, making the circuits and winning these awards and stuff. And I had no idea. And then during one of the nights that I was with my abuela, she was having a dream, and she was screaming out, que lo mataron. They killed him. She was reliving the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because as she was passing away, man, all these memories were firing, right? And she was really upset about that. And, the things that she said about him were really that, he was an honest man, and it was one of the last men that actually believed what he was saying. So I started thinking about that, and in my other abuela's house, she had a picture of John F. Kennedy, right? And my abuela, or my tia in Laredo, she had a picture of John F. Kennedy. And I started to remember this as a kid. Like, I remember seeing this guy. Like, what is the affinity that my people have to this dude? Right?
That's interesting, because right now, like, we don't got no presidents or nothing on the wall. So what brought you to that? What you was going to say on it?
Well, just her telling me those things, it made me, investigate, why is there such a close tie to this gentleman? And the more I started to investigate, I started to see how progressive he was. And almost a little too progressive. And, like I said, when you speak up like that, because he wanted to remove the troops from Vietnam.
Mm.
He wanted to teach Mexicanos like how to do other work besides pick grapes and pick cotton. He actually started a program called Manpower, right? Which my grandfather benefited from actually, where they would teach. You know, he said, well, why don't we teach them how to do? Why don't we teach them other skills? You know, so this never happens again. I'm referring to the strikes in Delano with the grapes back in the '60s. So they taught them industrial work, you know, how to be welders, do machine shop work and things like that. Then they distributed these families throughout East Texas, which is I'm actually working on a documentary.
That's new to me with the whole JFK. That's something I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there that don't know that. And obviously you would have done your research, or even being in the Mexican culture to see something like that, or even care, because I'm pretty sure there's some people that don't even know that till this day, even if they are in the culture or not. So
what they don't, and a lot of people don't know, is that when Kennedy came to, well, right before he went to Dallas, he stopped in Houston, and LULAC, which is like the Latino NAACP, they hosted a luncheon, and he brought his wife Jackie, even though all his advisors told him like you don't need to bring her because he wasn't or JFK wasn't popular in Texas, but to be president again, he was going to have to win Texas.
Yeah.
So LULAC set up this luncheon, which my grandmother attended actually, and when Jackie Kennedy came out, she addressed the crowd in Spanish.
Your grandmother?
No, Jackie.
Oh, Jackie. Okay.
She addressed that group in Spanish, and it wasn't like, it was fluent Spanish.
Wow.
And my grandmother said that simultaneously they were like, okay, well, like this person's for us.
Right.
So we're gonna vote for him. But unfortunately, you know, he went
that happened. Yeah. Has there been like a serious challenge with this King of the South project that you've been through, and have you overcome it, or
yes?
Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So King of the South, you know, it almost took off a couple of times. You know, I was working with a producer out of Dallas, and you know, it was right after my grandmother died actually. So right after my grandmother died, this producer reached out to me in Dallas.
My condolences.
Oh, thank you. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, I'm having a premiere for a movie. You know, I'm inviting you to come." You know, he was a homie, man, so I went to support him. And the movie wasn't very good. It wasn't. The writing wasn't good. The sound wasn't very good, and stuff like that. He asked me what I thought, and I told him. And you know, it kind of got pissed him off. And he goes, "Oh, so can you do better or what?" And I said, "Dude, I did one called Lava Platos that, you know." So we watched it, and as we were watching it, they looked at me and they said, "Hey, dude, like this is really good."
And who's they?
It was the producer with a couple of other actors.
Okay.
And like we'd gone back to his house to celebrate.
Okay.
The movie. So we kind of put that on for them to watch, and they were like, "Hey, man, what is this?" I said, "Oh, this is character, you know, that I've been thinking about." And I think after spending time with my grandmother and her doing all, you know, going through that, and this director or this producer reaching out to me, he said, "You know what? Like, do you have a whole story for this?" And I said, "Actually, I do." And he said, "Well, I tell you what, you know, you move in with me, you write it, I'll help you make it, you know, this and that." So that's what I did. But that producer started to change the story. Because originally it was called Kings of the South. Because, back to JFK, when JFK was in office, his brother was the governor of California, Bobby Kennedy. So it was like both of them were running the country. You know? Almost had two brothers running the United States. So King of the South was actually Kings of the South. And I wanted to tell the story of like a political guy and a street guy. You know, because they're both you know, same sides, you know, or different sides of the same coin. You know, so that was the original idea, but his vision was different than mine, and I started to compromise a lot because I was extremely vulnerable, man. I just lost my grandmother, so you know, I was very grateful, but at the same time, you know, I gave up a lot of the story because this person wanted to change it, and I felt obligated. And I also knew that even though I really didn't want to be in front of the camera, I saw that the opportunity was that, you know, only art can save us. You know, if you're an artist like that, that's just what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be self-destructive, you know, and drink and do a bunch of dope and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that this was a sign. I need to work.
Mm-hmm.
I need to use all of these emotions and do something, you know, constructive and creative.
So this is one of the biggest challenges you faced.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we were a week away from shooting.
Oh, wow.
We were a week away from shooting, man. And we had shot a trailer, and then Little Joe invited me to this film festival.
Mm.
And they were showing a movie called A Song for Caesar. It was a documentary they had been working on for like 12 years. Mm. And there was like unseen footage of Cesar Chavez and stuff like that. Now, Little Joe was actually friends with Cesar Chavez. Like, they wrote letters to each other, like stuff like that. And so he invited me to this documentary, man. And we watched it, and afterwards they had a Q&A, and they asked him, like, well, you know, back in the 60s when you first started, because he put all his music out himself, because he saw that first record company was, you know, they were robbing him. Mm. So he said, well, I'll just put it out myself, and I'll tour and, you know, do it myself. So they asked him, so, you know, that was the music industry back in the 60s, you know. Now with Latinos being like over 70% of the people that buy box office tickets, they're only 20%, you know, represented in front and behind the camera. You know, how do you see the future of film? Mm. Right? And by this time, that producer had changed the film so much that I didn't even recognize it anymore.
Oh, wow.
You know, he was always coming in like, hey, you need to add this person, this person, this person. And it just got bigger. And so when they asked Little Joe that question, there was a lot of, you know, heavy hitters there, man. There was the president of the United Farmers Workers Union was there, you know, along with some other people. And so when they asked him that question, he said, I'm glad you asked me. And he goes, Carmona, stand up. And I stood up, and he says, this is Carmona. He's working on the story called King of the South. He says, we're in good hands with him. And when he said that, I was like, man, what this dude wants to do over here is different from what I had told the gentleman.
What you envisioned, yeah.
And the first thing, when I met Little Joe, my original vision, that's what I pitched him. Mm-hmm. That's what he agreed to. Mm-hmm. But by this time, that story had changed so much. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man. And then he just recognized me. He just endorsed me, right? And so that was hard. Because I said, you know what? Me and this producer don't have the same vision. We're like, you know, a few days from shooting. And so we had a conference call. You know, and I said, they were all excited and stuff. And I said, hey, man, before we go any further, I got something to say. I said, I'm just going to do this project myself.
Oh, wow. That was a bomb dropped on everything, huh?
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
So what happened after that? Like, did it go cordial? Was the producer pissed? Like,
oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Was there like did you keep everyone but the producer, or
no, like,
or literally
scrapped everything.
Oh, wow.
Scrapped everything.
And this is when?
Maybe like 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That's because you had it originally how you wanted it. You wanted to rock it. I respect that.
And then plus the gentleman that I had pitched it to had said, you know, had, you know, endorsed me in front of all these people. Well, what is it what am I gonna put out? Yeah. You know, it's almost like if you have the attention of the people, what are you gonna show them? You know, and with film, you know, you get a box. That's it. You know, this little box of what are you gonna show the people? And what I had told him was now different. You know, we were about to shoot. I couldn't go through with that. And I actually, I called it a joke. This is the first one I called.
When you got back to working on the project?
No, like when I decided to, like, I can't go forward.
Oh, you spoke with him first, or did you get?
Yeah.
Okay, you spoke, and then y'all had the meeting, and so I'm guessing Little Joe gave you the green light, like, yeah, I want your original.
Yeah, well, you know, he told me, he said, ¿Quién escribió la canción? Mm-hmm. You know, who wrote the song? Mm-hmm. I said, I did. Mm-hmm. He said, well, you singing how the fuck you want.
Right, facts. Yeah, facts.
You know, so, you know, this was something that he did back in the 60s, man. And I think that's pretty much why me and that cat clicked.
Yeah.
Because he sees that same drive as well. Because and we're days away from shooting, which is a dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then to like look at the facts and say, oh, man, I can't go forward with this, man. This ain't me.
And that's just that's more of like morals and
yeah,
like, oh wait, no, this is how I want it to be. This is how I envisioned it. And now you feel like you were selling yourself short or selling out in a way, right?
No, very much. Very much.
So now, you still got Little Joe on the project.
Mm-hmm.
So is Little Joe the only one you kept out of that meeting? I mean, okay. So no one else came back to help you work on it. Okay. So what made Little Joe? Was that a part of that phone call? Like, oh, in the future, I still want you to be in the project. Okay. How did Little Joe feel about it? So this is 2 years later. Now you're working on it, right? Is it this year you started or last year?
We started the last month of last year.
Okay.
The first frame.
Okay, gotcha. So when you hit Little Joe up after all that time, how did that go about?
I told him, that the story was the same. I was working with different people. I was going to do it independently, which means you do it yourself. And I know enough people because I've been in the business for a while.
Yeah.
I've also done a lot of activism work. I'm a musician too. So throughout from the 12 years back,
experience.
I've met all these people, different facets, and so when this project came about, once they saw Little Joe was attached to it,
they wanted to be.
They're like, okay, well, what do you need to help? And then when I got to San Anto just showed up. The support I've gotten here, like people coming forward, like, hey, we have a car club. Do you need these cars? Or, hey, we have this pool. Do you want to shoot here? Luchador, the bar El Luchador.
El Luchador, where's that?
I'm not sure exactly, but it's here.
It's here in San Antonio. El Luchador.
They reached out and they're like, hey man, if you want to shoot here, go right ahead. The actors.
Yeah, that's great that like the people are actually boom. All right.
But they also too is they see the quality of work that you're putting out, man. So for an actor, and I'm sure for a musician as well, when you see a piece of work that you can really sink your teeth into, you're like, okay, well, I can do this, man. And that's what you want to do. You want to honor your performers, man. Because they have a certain skill set, and they do.
Yeah.
It's almost like when musicians, and you're like, man, these two cats need to meet.
Right.
Because something's gonna happen. Man.
Right. That collaboration. Yeah.
And as a director, I kind of see that too.
Yeah.
And it's about getting everybody together, and magic happens.
No, definitely. Go ahead.
So as far as like you be having these movie shoots and everything, have you did anything besides like anything outside of Texas?
No. Not yet, and that's by choice.
Yeah.
I just did a show last year called Paul the Last Apostle, and it's I play Silas. It's a biblical show. It's done by
when you said what you said it was
Paul the Last Apostle.
Paul the Last Apostle. Yeah. But it's Apostle Paul, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That clicked when you said that, but the way you said it, I was like, okay, Apostle Paul. Yeah. All right, I got you.
Yeah. So we did that series last year. We shot the pilot, and that was an experience. And that was just me as an actor.
Okay.
I didn't write it, produce nothing. So that was, and the production is huge.
Yeah.
Like, the cameras are like the red, the scarlet red.
Oh yeah, official, movie,
Yes.
How did that come about?
Actually, Brandy Lopez, which is an entertainer here out of San Anto, she had, I think she knew about it, and she had some other actors that she had told about. And then Bert Lopez actually told me, hey, they're having a reading, it's like a Zoom reading, join and you can like maybe do like a background actor part. And so I started reading, like I think I played a Roman soldier in the read through. And then the director was like, what's your name? I said, Carmona. And she says, you're a good actor. Like, we need to put you in another role.
A higher role, something better, yeah.
So then they put me in another role. Then they offered me the role of Paul, like the lead.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And I had that for like a couple of weeks. And then they found somebody else they thought would be better, which I'm glad, man, because That was like huge.
And we can find that in the same area?
That right now, man, you can, if you go to my Facebook, there's a link to it.
Okay.
Because they haven't like released it officially.
Gotcha. Oh, but you can watch it behind the scenes as far with that link?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope.
And if you go to my page, it's on my page.
Gotcha.
That's kind of like, what's that name called? Tubi? Tubi just recently came out, but Tubi, that's kind of like Tubi.
Yeah.
There's actually one of my friends I went to high school with, he actually is on a movie. And he's on Tubi, and I was like, what? And it's crazy because like, I never expect someone I went to high school with end up on a movie. Like, even though he's not on a big network, because Tubi's not as big, but it's like the fact that he's still on a movie. It's
for sure.
You know,
for sure.
inspiring.
For sure. Right now, man, it's the floodgates are open. It's the wild, wild west. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're living in like an interesting time with the movies, even with the music. Like I remember where we couldn't even upload our own music. You had to go through You had to go through hell and back just to have your music uploaded. Like now, we can just of a click of a button be on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. People can hear you. Where a few years ago you wasn't able to do that. You had to go through the record label. You had to go through this. Now you can do all that stuff yourself by just a click of a button.
Yeah.
Click of a button. So same thing with the indie films. Now it's so much more convenient. I know it has its pros and its cons.
But I'm glad you brought that up, man,
Yeah.
because we live in the day and age now where, like I said, obviously Hollywood doesn't want to support what we're doing. If we're outside of that box, right? Of
course.
But there's enough of us that we can support each other.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need them.
Yeah.
They need us.
Yeah, that's
they,
true.
They got it backwards.
True.
We're the ones that buy the tickets.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I think now that we live in this age where we want to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you can keep your big name actor. I'll get my deal.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing, and
Right.
other artists see the passion in what you're doing.
Right.
And that's usually what people respond to more than anything.
Right.
But we do live in a day and age, man, where all we have to do is that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know.
You got the whole computer on your phone.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had to make flyers, you had to make copies, and you had to go post them everywhere.
Back in the day, it was LimeWire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just boom, and even then, man, you see that people don't support you. I mean,
What's your favorite thing? Is it the directing, the writing, the acting, being part of being a musician? What is your favorite thing to do out of all of those, and why?
I think I will always say writing,
Mm-hmm.
because when you write, you're not limited. You know, it doesn't matter if you don't have a camera, if you don't have a mic, if you don't have actors. You know, in the mind, that anything is possible. And so writing will probably always be my favorite. But I like directing because you get to see people like blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's someone that's doing lights, or someone that's holding the camera, or someone that's doing the music. Like you get to, you know, if I have a scene, I'll send it to a musician, right? And they're like, "What do you want to hear?" And I said, "Well, if I knew that, I'd have done
That's
it
why I sent it to you.
Right?
I want your artistic ear.
Yeah, because I believe that my art will prompt art out of you, and vice versa. When I hear your music, it prompts art out of me.
Yeah, that's
right.
deep.
So I trust whatever it is you do. If that's your forte, then I let you do you, and whatever comes out of you, I'll roll with that usually, because you know that's what you want to do. You want to inspire. So, and even when you give people that opportunity, man, to see them like glow, or to see them like start taking on bigger roles and things like that. Like my friend Cody here, you know, that recorded when he first started. He was just a photographer. You know, and I don't mean like just a photographer, but like that's all he did. But his pictures were cinematic, and I said, man, this dude could shoot a movie.
Yeah, shout out Cody behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yes, sir.
Something I like to do when I'm on a podcast, we have some behind the scenes guests. I want you to go ahead and throw a question out there. Something you always wanted to ask that you may have never asked them before on your daily workings.
Let me think. I'd say, what was the first thing that you filmed?
like that you filmed yourself?
Oh man, the first thing I filmed, man. Oh man. I'm gonna age myself real quick, man. So back in the day, well, this was before phones. They had these cameras that you put on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Giant cameras, right? And then they had like a utility belt for the battery that you wore. And we had read this book. I think I was in the 7th grade. We had read a book called "Where the Red Fern Grows."
Where the
red fern grows.
Fern grows. Okay.
And it's about these 2 dogs. They're hunter dogs or something. Right? Well, in the book, one of the characters, like these boys go out hunting, and you know they're real competitive with their dogs. You know, getting raccoons and stuff. And they get into an argument, these 2 kids, and the kid falls. He falls on an axe, and it kills the kid, right? So when we read the book, our teacher said, you know, as a project, you know, you get with your group and y'all either draw something or reenact something. Well, a friend of mine had been bragging that they had a camera. And back in the day, not everybody had one. Like, you know, maybe one family had one.
Wow.
So he had said, you know, I got this camera, and I was like, man, instead of like acting it out, like why don't we act it out, but why don't we film it? And so I talked my homies into doing it, right? And I was gonna play the kid that got the axe put on. So I fall down on the axe, and right, and then I move over, and you know, and I kind of knew, like, you know, basics of like how to cut, you know. Okay, well, you show him fall, and then you show, like, you lift them over, and then you show their faces that they're freaking out, and then you show me like I'm all bloody, right? So we didn't have any blood. We had like a ragu.
It's a ragu sauce.
Yeah, ragu sauce, right? And these motherfuckers, dude, these practical jokers, man. So when I fall on this axe or whatever, and I turn around, I'm like, all right, pour the blood on me, man. Right? They poured it on my face.
Oh.
Right, so I'm like damn near choke on this shit, right? But we're not gonna film it again, right? So that was the first thing I did in film. Yeah, I was like in the 7th grade. Man. So shout out to Galen Powell.
Wow. That was a good question, man. That was a good question. And since you do that, the photography and the video work, that was a great question.
That definitely was.
King of the South. Do you have a deadline for it to be complete, or?
Mm-hmm. I think within a year.
Within a year?
By the end of the year. But like I said, man, San Anto showed so much love and so much support that, you know, the caliber of actors that I had before were nothing compared to the ones I have now. Mm-hmm. You know, and I didn't realize that till last Saturday when we shot. You know, my friend David, who plays Tico, he plays the bodyguard. Right before we shot, you know, he goes, "Hey, Carmona, look," and I look, you know, and I see all these actors. You know, there were people that were created here, and now you see them. They're real people, man. And I'll never forget, man, he goes, "Hey, man, you see these people behind you?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "They all believe in you."
Wow.
And man, that, like, it put another thing on it, man. You know,
open up your eyes.
For sure. Because you have to be a leader.
Yeah.
You know, but you lead by example.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you don't lead by telling them what to do. You show them, and they'll follow suit, man.
If you could give any advice to someone out there looking to do what you do, whether it's encouragement, whether it's something you've been through, what can you give someone out there?
Man, just do you. Do you. Whatever it is that you want to do it. Because no one else is going to be able to do that. Whatever song you write, there's nobody else in the world that can write that song. Whatever you shoot, you're the only person that can shoot that. And we need that. We need that music, man. We need that art, because that's what brings us together. And that's what brought us together.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably never would have met you.
Yeah.
You know, anything else, but because of the art, because of what you do, because of what you do, it brought us together, man. This is a new community, man.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And there's no telling what's going to come
from this. Yeah.
But I can't wait.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, don't be hesitant. Don't be scared to do it. If you feel as though you believe in it, you're creative, like, just make it happen.
And you know, I probably, the best advice I got, man, was like, you know what, like, fuck it. Like, do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Fuck it.
And do it for yourself.
Right.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that, for making a movie for yourself.
Yeah.
With this King of the South, man, there's instances that I have where Little Joe plays my father, and you know, we're like fishing, and it's a flashback. Me as a little boy with my father, playing in the yard. I never did that. I didn't know who my father was. I never did those things with him.
Wow.
But as I watched the film, I was realizing, man, I'm healing.
Wow.
I'm using these things like to heal myself, to fill up a hole. And
subconsciously, as you're creating the art.
Subconsciously.
Wow.
So you directing and acting, out of everything that you do, what would you say is your therapy? Or would you say they're all your therapy?
I think they're all.
Yeah.
And that eventually it just culminated into writing becomes shooting. Kind of like I said with Cody, like the photography.
Right.
I saw that his next step was film.
Yeah.
And it threw him into the fire, man. He shot some really great stuff. Man.
That's awesome.
How you and Cody come together exactly?
There was a hub of creativity where we were back home in Buffalo. And the gentleman that created that, his name was June, or his name is June. But he created this hub, man, of creatives. He had a studio. You could go record as long as you were being productive. You could be there. As long as you were creating, whether you were writing, doing your music, graphic art, tattoos. He created this nice little hub, man.
That's interesting.
Of creatives. He did that.
So like he just met people and based off what they did, like, hey, come to the studio. Come work on something.
And people would come and trade their services, you know.
Right.
I'll sit in the studio and I'll do this for you, and vice versa.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I had someone on here. They were saying something similar about that. Here in San Antonio, where people will go, and it was like some free studio time. Free studio time. You just go write some music, record. They don't charge you, and they were network with other artists, and they got a lot of connections out of that. It sounds similar to that, but. That sounds something like, I feel like that's something I want to do, like create, because I know so many artists. Well, because I've had authors on here, small business owners, entrepreneurs.
So imagine at the end of the year if you have a gala or a gala or whatever you say it, and invite all of those people you just said. Yeah. You get them all in the same room.
You never know what could come out of that. Yeah.
As far as your new project, as far as King of the South. Obviously it's been a while since you ended up starting as far as directing and things like that. So as far as King of the South, do you plan to adventure more?
Yeah, man. Actually, I'm glad you asked that because that's opened up the door to other projects.
Yeah.
I'm currently working on one called On American Soil.
American Soil.
Mm-hmm. I'm also working on one with Israel Marquez called The Unknown Wonderful, and that's just as an actor.
Okay.
American Soul as an actor.
Yeah.
So, it's different from writing and directing, and I get to flex that muscle.
Right, of course.
Just an actor.
More of what you were explaining earlier, more of a director's, like the vision you were having is like, it's like you're in your own little world, and you can get to watch everybody while they blossom.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's also cool to see another writer, director, whatever it is they're creating, and working with them and seeing what they inspire from you.
Yeah.
There's another gentleman here out of San Antonio named Keanu Cordero. He's a filmmaker. I did a film with him last year too. Like, dude, everything's happened so fast.
Like when you decided to actually get back into it, just started.
That's life itself.
The wheels just started going.
Yeah. So like a project comes, I say I'll do it. So what do you do as a project? Like what do you do as a break between making film? You're in film. You lend yourself to other creatives.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, I love that because I feel as though when I started, like when you said when you seen Cody with the photography. So when I really started doing anything, it was music. That was like when I started doing the music and writing and the music. Boom. Actually, I'm lying. Actually, it made me think even back to like high school. It was poetry because yeah, and I actually found out that rap stands for rhythm and poetry.
Yep.
So then I started going through there, and then I was like Tupac with the rhythm and poetry thing. So, but when I started actually dealing with equipment, I actually came here. I was in San Antonio now she's probably 11, 12 years ago, because my mother always lived out here, so I'll come out here and visit. So I actually came out here for a few months, and I actually started doing camera work, and that was just photography. And I would do shows at a club that was called Ice Lounge. That club is no longer isn't a name anyway. But I would do camera work, get off stage. I would get on stage, do music, get off, do camera work for the people, and then the owner comes to me and he goes, "Man, you want to do some photography for the club?" I said, "Yeah, hell yeah, of course, why not?" So I started doing photography for the club, and then it led to me actually being a promoter of the club on Sundays, which I never done before. I never took pictures for the actual club until then, and then what led to me doing the promotions, and then I'm working with a DJ, and then we started doing music because I would hire him to DJ the night and also intertwine with that, and then that led to me, since I already have the cameras and for photography, I started shooting music videos. And I started shooting my own music videos, and then it went from there to me ended up doing in 2020. 2020 when I started doing the podcast. And everything coincides because the same cameras I use for the music, and the photography, I also could use for the podcast, and then start getting the mics. So putting all that and it's funny, like you said, just in hindsight now is back to what you're saying, just do it because you never know what comes out of it. And now I have my own studio where I can record myself and do music. So like you said again earlier, we're this as a person, but we also all of these other things. So the writing, acting, directing, and saying photography, videography, musician. So
and for me, really, man, I have a nephew, Giovanni. He's 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's a painter. He's a photographer. He does music. He's writing his own movie. We'll be directing his movie this summer.
Wow, 12 years old.
And he's 12, man. Mm-hmm. But he's been around me long enough to know. And that's kind of what I've done.
He's getting it.
Let him blossom.
Yeah,
nice. Whatever he takes to. He does taekwondo, karate, boxing, skateboarding, things like that.
And have you noticed this age, everyone is doing a lot more now.
Yeah.
This is what when you out be the creative age, right?
Yeah, because this generation are different.
Yeah, and younger doing so much you said your nephew, right?
Yeah.
For example, that's amazing. It looks like you were gonna say something earlier, and
Yeah. As far as it's just because touching base with what he said and touching base with what you said, as far as just do it. Obviously, we're not sponsoring Nike.
Right.
But if you want to
just the fact that you
pay us to sponsor,
just the fact that you said that, it's I definitely am more open minded to that because I feel if I didn't initiate what I initiated as far as actually trying to start this rap career and everything like that, I don't feel like I would have met him. I don't feel like I would have met you. And it's it's crazy because it's the people you end up meeting just because of that. It's wow, they put more inspiration in you. They put more, they put more motivation in you to where you want to keep pursuing. So that's beautiful. I like that. That's a message that just hit me right now.
Yeah.
What's your end goal?
End goal. I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know. I get asked that sometimes, and why do you do what you do? But when you do what you do, you're not aware of what you're doing. You do music, right? But to someone that doesn't do music, it's it's fascinating. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Right? But to you, it's not. It's just a natural thing that you do. You couldn't not do it.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You couldn't stop if you wanted to.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And it's funny you say that because sometimes when it comes down to music, I have so much knowledge in it that I forget how much knowledge I have in it. Because I could be talking to someone, I have a conversation with him, we talked about bars and counting bars. And to me, it's just oh, that's something that off the fly, I can count bars, do this. And then he's wait, but hold up. He said I never spoke with someone that taught me how to actually count the bars. And I'm oh.
And I want to speak on that too when you're done. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, but not only with just that, but it's so many other things. People are talking about copyrights, this and that. And throughout the years, I've experienced so much. So I'm oh, this just comes second nature. I didn't. Sometimes I don't realize how much knowledge that I have, and that's also a part of the reason I want to do these podcasts, because I genuinely want to learn off of other people, but I also want to teach and drop gems, whatever craft or possession, whatever craft or passion you have. I want other people to get something off that, get that insight. Just always been a person that's been curious. Even when we was having the table, I told you, I was like, that's a whole podcast. We're having a whole podcast there because I'm genuinely, like, I'm asking you questions there. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk no more about this because it's going to ruin the podcast. Like, I was learning so much about you, but this just comes from me wanting to learn, me wanting to teach, drop gems, and hopefully inspire other people too. So,
well, it's not hope. You are.
Yeah.
I mean, you are inspiring people, man,
Yeah.
because you're creating a space.
Yeah.
You're creating a safe space.
Yeah.
For people like me that can come and, you know, speak with an open mind, open heart. You know, don't feel nervous, don't feel judged. You know, we just flow, man, and that's how you inspire community, man.
No, that's awesome. Appreciate that. What you were gonna say?
I was gonna say just because how he mentioned that, because it's true. No one has taught me like how to comp bars and things like that. And personally, the way I feel about it is that the way this world is like if someone feels you got talent, they feel like you got more talent, or they feel like you can definitely outgrow them or outshine them. I feel like, you know, obviously that's haters, it's people that are jealous. They're not gonna teach you that. They're gonna teach you little things, and hopefully you figure it out on your own. But hopefully you don't figure it out where it outshines them. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm not the person that would try to outshine somebody. If you feel that way, it can happen that way. But I'm going to be on your side because you brought me in the studio. You know, you brought me to do this and everything like that. So that's why I brought that up, because like he's taught me a lot that I didn't know, and I feel like I don't know because either people were jealous that like I actually have, I have talent, and they feel like that, even though I didn't know like as far as cadence and things like that, and he's teaching me a lot with that too, and that's the thing. So it's like those people now, like, they're no longer around. I don't have them as friends, nothing like that. I don't have them as friends anymore or anything like that. And it's not that I don't have friends because we ended up on bad terms. It's just, for some reason, we ended our friendship. We're just not cool no more, And so
that happens.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys, man? I hope you're enjoying the podcast, man. The episode 58. You can find me at Carmona Gemini on Instagram. That's CarmonaGemini. And you can also find me on Facebook at Gabriel Carmona.
Definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. Follow us at For the Throw Podcast on all platforms except for YouTube. You can follow us at For the Throw TV. Thank y'all for watching. Have you had times where you were making films and it just came to actors you had to let go because of certain situations?
Yes.
And how do you handle them professionally? Like, how do you take that on?
The first thing that people say, you're mad, right? I'm gonna go with it. This is what people do all the time, right? Like, all the time. So because I have a certain style of film that I make, right? It's different than other people's, right? We don't work with the biggest equipment, the brightest lights and things like that. But what we work with is the writing that we're doing, what we're presenting, the performances and things like that. So a lot of times people will hop on the project and they're really psyched about it, and then something else comes along, and then they jump to that one and they're like, I don't want to work with you no more. I'm going to work on a real production. So everybody starts jumping ship.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is that they're all jumping on the same ship after they jump ship, and then there's too many people on that ship and it starts to sink. And here we come in our little boat, watching you drown, right? So I've had that happen a lot, where people will leave the project because whatever, and then they'll want to come back.
Full circle.
It's too late. Like, you replace. You can't get angry, man, because as the creator, you have to fix the problem. You got to be creative. Like, okay, I don't have time to be mad. I got to find someone to replace you, because I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop because of you.
Yeah.
I'll get through it, man.
Yeah.
In fact, the first frame that we shot at King of the South was supposed to be this actor from Dallas that came, and he has a motorcycle, And so the stretch of road that we were shooting at, it's beautiful. It's in Crockett, man. Like the foliage, it's like one of the top highways to go driving to look at leaves and stuff. It's beautiful, man. So I wanted the motorcycle to come in, and that's how the movie was going to start. This guy coming in, so we could have all these shots of the road and the trees, and, you know, all these angles and stuff like that. Well, the day that we were going to shoot, he calls me. He said, hey, I'm not going to make it. Right? Me and this dude were out here waiting, and he says, I'm not going to make it. And so I was like, man, okay. I go, well, I'm not going to waste any more time. Like, why did I want to shoot this in the first place? Well, I wanted to show off the trees.
You're asking yourself the good questions.
Yeah, yeah. Why did I write this? Because I want to show off this road. I want to show off the trees. I want to show off the area I'm from, East Texas. You know, we're known for the pine trees and stuff like that. And I said, okay, so that's why I wanted to show that. Well, how else can I show that? And I said, well, what if the character is walking? So at the beginning of the film, you see this guy hitchhiker or walking. So then you're like, where's he walking from? Who is he? Where's he walking to? And you have all these questions. But it sets up the story.
Yeah.
You know? So even though he wasn't there, dude, as soon as we shot that first frame, I knew, okay,
came together.
We're committed.
Yeah.
We're in it.
You're using this day. You're using this time wisely. You're going to go out there and do what you came to do, and that's create art.
Yeah, regardless. And
you, so we was actually talking about something similar to this when you, the day, what was that, 54th Street Club?
Yeah, 54th.
Yeah. So, you were saying that you're able to have nothing and create something. Tell the audience that's looking like a little bit about that process and how do you go about what your ritual or routine when there's literally nothing but you look at something and like, oh, this is what it's going to be. How does that look? How does your mind work when it comes to that?
Well, it's problem solving,
mm-hmm.
and I can't work with what I don't know
mm-hmm.
because it was just a waste of time
mm-hmm.
and a waste of energy. So it's sort of that advice that they gave me, man. Extenuate the talents that you do have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so what do I have at my disposal?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever I do have, I just work the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You work every angle, and you put it out there too because it inspires the performer as well, man.
Right.
So even though it seems like it's nothing, you know, there's something there. And that's the other thing I think people tend to forget about, man. You can do all the writing and you can direct and you can have everybody here, but there's something else that happens, and it's magic. Whether the two people are vibing or they're going off script, but it's in the same vein, you know. I guess sort of like freestyling, you know, when you hop on the beat and you know when you really hop on the beat, you know, as opposed to, you know, you're searching in your mind where to go, but once you hit that stride, you know, it's done deal. And when you create something out of nothing, it's already there, man. It just depends on how you look at it, and you have to be like the conduit, you know, sort of like a radio station. As you're going through the radio station, you got to be on that right frequency. And fortunately for me, you know, since I was a little boy, man, I've been on that frequency of what would seem like strange, but you know, it's always been there, man.
Wow.
That like right there, just in general, talking about the frequency and everything. Of course, me as a kid didn't know what frequency meant. At the time, I didn't even know what all that was as far as old back in the days radios.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that because like back when I was a kid, because I'm originally from Chicago, so back when I was a kid, me always going to my grandparents' house. I loved it, man. Love always going to see my grandpa, my grandma. My grandpa always in the backyard, man. He'd have his little table, his little the little tent umbrella looking thing. I forgot what they call that, but he had that, man. He was just chilling in the back because I was like, hey, Grandma, where's Grandpa? I was like, he's in the backyard. And so I'll go, and sometimes, like how my grandma says it, her tone of voice, she's like, yeah, he's in the backyard, you know, like he's always in the backyard. And I'll see him, he's just over there, just like how my dad is now. And it's crazy because that's what I see. Like now that we're talking about it, I see how my dad's always smiling, man, always happy, positive. And that's how my grandpa was. My grandpa would just be in the backyard, just smiling, you know, and then he'll like, hey, mijo, you know, and he'll have his little radio, man. He'll have that little radio and everything like that. He'll just change the channels. Of course, he's listening to Spanish music, and I wasn't too much into Spanish as a kid, but the fact that you said that frequency and everything, yeah, I like that. I like that.
Because you have to be like that antenna.
Yeah.
You know? And even if you don't, like you're it, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
If you're it, man. If you've been chosen, then that's what it is. You can fight it. You can take a 9-year break. I can say, nah, man, I don't want to do that no more. I got clothes.
Calls you.
You know, he said, come on, just one more. And then one more turns into 2. And that was like almost 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
And the work is just like...
See, I didn't do no 9 years, but I did my first two singles. Well, I think 3 or 4 singles. I was mentioning to you earlier before, and I had those back in 2019. Well, me and him, 2022, 23,
Well,
right? Last year.
When we met, you saying?
No, I'm talking
as far as the
we
music?
started doing music.
Oh, yeah, last year. Yeah.
So that's 4 years. Yeah, that's like 4 years down the line, and I decided to actually take it serious. I decided to actually get back into it, and got some unreleased projects, and I got way more than I did before with that with the last person I did it with, and I felt like in general, it's like, yeah, you have been chosen, like you have that talent, let it out, and all this time for some reason I just always wanted to have it just barricaded, like nah, it's just music for myself, it's just music for, like just to show friends, family. Nobody else, and then finally, I broke out that shell to where, I want to release it and actually have people, the world hear.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the role.
What's good, y'all? It's Papi X Dinero, on For the Thrills podcast. We're on episode 59. Y'all be on the lookout because it's coming, y'all. It's coming. You know what I'm saying?
And it's finna be heat.
Yes, sir.
Heat.
Yes, sir. Alright, what's good? This is your co-host, Papi X Dinero. We on episode 58. We're tuned back in. We got Carmona. So let's go ahead and continue, man. So, wow, it's a lot that I learned about you. You definitely had a journey of a lot of things, a lot of experiences, and of course, in general in life, that's what we go through. We go through a lot of experiences, a lot of bumpy roads, to leading to trials and tribulation. So where do you see yourself from 5 years from now?
5 years from now, traveling the country and the world, shooting film. Just creating beautiful things with people, all walks of life, whatever.
Yeah.
That's really the most rewarding part. Because I feel, with King of the South, man, there was no budget.
Yeah.
There is no budget. But when you work in the currency of love and admiration, and you're building things for people to come and, like kind of what you're doing here, man. You built a safe space. Once you build those places, man, the people will come, man. And that's a currency that that translates everything.
Oh, almost definitely.
No, I appreciate that. I've been literally just watching the growth makes me excited. I was talking to him yesterday because yesterday we had the most people here in the room. It was 7, 8 of us, but
wow.
but that made me hype.
The energy was
yeah. So I'm it's so many of us here, but it's not that many people. But it's usually it's just me, him, and a guest, but it was more people are watching, more people are being interactive compared to back in 2020. So I started the podcast with me and my aunt, and it was just on a dinner table, and we were just talking and shit with each other, talking about events that's going on, just stuff 30 minutes podcast. After 5 episodes, she ended up moving, so I wanted to continue doing the podcast, so I started getting friends on Zoom and just interviewing friends that are artists or just people I want to talk to, and then it just went from there. But to see it go from that place to where it's at now, and having you on even now is just man, I've had authors on here, I have, like I said, small business owners, artists, and just to come and see this place, like you said, is a comfortable space, a comfortable atmosphere, and other people have told me that they're yo, this feels peaceful, feels calm, I don't feel no bad spirits, I feel good vibes, and some people even have said things where they're like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, but I feel so comfortable that I'm gonna open up and talk about it, and that's what I want. So I appreciate that you said that, because that's definitely, I want people to come here, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and people coming here and opening up, because this is what the space is here for. So
appreciate it, man.
With that being said, when it comes down to vulnerability, in the directing aspect, how do you capture emotions? Like, as an actor and as a director, how do you catch those emotions, and how do you provide feedback to other actors to catch those emotions, whether they're vulnerable or they have to play a villain or whatever that emotion is? How does that work?
A lot of times the writing will prompt something out of them. Mm-hmm. And being a director is like being a conductor. Mm-hmm. You know that this musician is good and that musician is good. You know they should get together, because you know something will happen. Mm-hmm. And as a director, that's kind of like the way you have to work it. You have to be able to identify what the person's strengths are, even if those strengths are weaknesses. Because that's a weakness that you can use. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe if that's what you're good at, then that's kind of what we're gonna try to draw out of you, man.
Right.
And a lot of times, the scenes, they're difficult. There's a scene in King of the South. It's a very emotional scene. Mm-hmm. My character has a breakdown. And it's in the daytime, man. It's there's no fancy lights. There's no shade. There's no makeup. It's really raw. And it's very up close that this man having a breakdown, and it feels really uncomfortable.
And for you as the writer and the actor, it still feels uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And how?
Because after we watch it, because when you're creating, you watch it without the music, without the cuts, without all the fancy stuff. When you just watch it raw, and this scene was like, it was so private that you kind of felt like you were intruding. Like, this is a moment a man has to have to himself, but you're right there. And I thought about, okay, when I watched the scene, like, everything in me went off. Like, I need more dialogue, I need music here, I need this here. And I thought, well, and I made it a point to not read. I'm a self-taught filmmaker, right? And so people have given me books, and I won't read them because I don't want that to influence me, right? And so when I saw this scene, this really uncomfortable scene where I'm extremely vulnerable, and that's the thing that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. And then here I am, right here, man, like on every wrinkle, every, so...
And that's going back to your most vulnerable...
because, you're showing everything.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no makeup, there's nothing pretty about it, man. And when you experience things like that, man, you see, like, how it has a healing effect on you. When we shot that, I was so into that I could only go off, like, what his response was. Right. And he was just really quiet. It's like very still and peaceful, because, when my grandmother died, and I keep referring back to her, but when she died, I had a cry in me, but I knew that this wasn't the time to let it out. I had to make the arrangements and things like that. So I really didn't have time to let that emotion go. Yeah. So when I started back with this King of the South, I knew that I was going to have that scene. And I saved that emotion for that particular scene. And I remember telling Cody that, I said, I'm about to let it go.
Like, you brought up that emotion for that scene.
Yeah.
Oof.
Because then I could do something constructive with it.
Yeah.
I can do something creative with it. And what you do with it is that when other people see it, they'll remember, like, oh, I remember.
And that's real. Like, that emotion you're bringing out, it's genuine emotion. Whether if it was for that, but it was still genuine emotion, that's what people see. They see that genuine aspect of you shedding them tears. And even though it was for your grandmother, the audience sees it as pure art.
Yes.
And film honestly is a beautiful thing, man. I don't know if you're familiar with Sons of Anarchy, but like in that show, I feel like just in that aspect of what you explained, the emotions and everything, I feel like Jack as an actor, you know, when he was stabbing the Chinese man's head, and he was getting so into it because this person supposedly is the one that killed his wife, right? But the way, like, if you look at his face, it's like, man, this dude is, you know,
he dug deep. He dug deep.
Like, he's really digging into that dude's skull. And, like, you see his face, and it's like, even though he's in character...
Well, no, other than digging into his skull, I mean, dug deep in himself to find that emotion.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why, like, film's a beautiful thing, because you could watch so many things, and some things can be like, wow, that's emotional, I can relate to it. Or it can be like... I was like, man, you know, he was looking for vengeance. He was really looking at... Because, like, his face is just like that. And just like, I was like, dang.
You believed it.
Is he going to break out of character? No. He didn't break out of character at all. But I feel like maybe it's because he had a certain experience that he kept that emotion in his head. And he ended up playing that part.
Yeah, it's a discipline, man.
Yeah.
Because if you're what I've noticed about creatives is it's like a lot of them have self-destructive lifestyles.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes that gets in the way.
Yeah.
Almost. So when you're able to identify that and use it to your, I don't want to say advantage, but use it for something good. That's why I mentioned Keanu Cordero earlier. I did a film with him called Smile Now, Cry Later. This guy's 26. He just turned 26 yesterday. But the film deals with these issues of having issues with his father, his brother, the competition, not being able to tell his father he loved him, you know, things like that. It dealt with some really, personal, major things, man. I was so impressed with the guy because, you know, he's 26 and he was able to funnel all of that into something creative instead of like turning it against himself.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you know, a self-destructive behavior.
Yeah.
You know, he was able to like, you know, regenerate that energy into something creative and pass it along not just to me, but to all these other people.
Now, staying on topic, but like more on the aggressive side. Well, kind of how he said with Jax. But how about the roles that like turn those people like Joker, like those type of roles where you gotta get in the mind of that villain and it ends up kind of going bad for their actual personal, like Freddy Krueger, like the guy that plays him, he says he can't even look in the mirror because he played the role so well. He felt it, like he scares himself when he looks in the mirror.
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven is the director. But, So, but when it comes down to stuff like that, have you experienced something like that, or have you known someone personally, experienced someone where they dove so deep into the role that like it's kind of went into their personal life?
Yeah. I've had a couple of friends that they practice that, what they call method acting, you know, and it's different.
Method acting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And method acting was made popular by this Russian teacher, Stanislavski, I think. And then back in the day, Stella Adler out of New York, she taught this.
Stella Adler sounds familiar. Go ahead.
So she taught it in Brando. So for film, Brando, you know, there's certain breaks in film. Brando brought theater acting to film. Because back in the day, when, you know, TV just started, you didn't have film actors. You had theater actors that you put in front of a camera. Nowadays, you just have actors that have never been on theater. But when you're an actor and you've done theater and film, you've got two different bags you can work from. You know, that's two different bags that you can work from. And so sometimes I've seen actors that kind of go overboard. But, you know, really, man, it all goes down to if you do the work, if the writer's done the work, then it'll prompt something out of you. And if you remember that if you serve the story will serve you. If you're in it to be like, how do I look? What I do with my hands? You're doing the wrong thing, homie. First of all, do you know your line?
Right.
You know? And if you're focused on that, you know, those other things kind of
natural.
Fall in place.
Yeah.
For sure.
But as far as the personal aspect into their daily lives, have you witnessed that?
Yeah. I've seen actors that, man, either they lose their family.
Oh, that bad. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know that's all psychological.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's all psychological. If you buy into that sort of thinking, then yeah, man. But for me, I don't really like to use the word actor because I feel that, like I said, if the writing is strong enough, it'll bring that out of the actor, right? If you do your job as the writer, and maybe not necessarily tell him everything what to say, but if the actor's intuitive enough, he can understand. It's not what you're saying; it's what you're not saying. You know. So my lines can say all this, but what is my body saying? What are my eyes saying? What are my hands saying?
See, that's a good point you brought up there. Kind of like a message, really, because when I was a kid, like my brother, I would say certain things to him, and he would feel that it was like, bro, why would you say that? You know, like bro, like stay away from me when you say that. Like, don't say stuff like that. And it's not that I wanted it to happen. It's just stuff. I was like, oh, what if this bridge would have come down on us? You know what I'm saying? I would just say that. But me, I'm a story writer. Like as a kid, I wrote stories back to back. Oh, that was my talent. I could probably get back to it if I want to, but that was my talent as a kid. And just I'd get so much into stories. I'd be writing this.
I would recommend you do that.
What, writing stories? I wrote this one. It was actually about, and it actually became a movie. Probably around the same time as far as when I was a kid. But I wrote about these little toys like turning evil on people and killing them. I don't know why. Just my mind, the way it worked as a kid. I ended up writing that whole story down and everything like that. And I saw a movie about it. I was like, like, hold on. I wrote that, but no one could have got my paperwork because I threw it away in the trash. I shredded it, you know. But I was like, that's crazy, you know. Just in general, seeing that, it's like, wow. I could have, if I would have kept pursuing it, I could have been, you know, coming up just as a kid. But I didn't pursue it.
I seen something. I don't know if it was a documentary or a podcast where they were talking about was something similar to what you went through. That there's ideas that we have that someone may have not coming up with yet, but if you don't use it, someone will.
I've heard that.
Come up with that idea.
No, that's facts. Because a lot of people told me, you know, if you would have published this, you could have got money off of them. And I was like, I was a kid. I didn't even know what publishing meant, you know. So, yeah.
And it also it makes you aware that people are thinking similar things.
Yeah.
You know, so if you create something like. If you create something where you lose a loved one or whoever's lost a loved one, we'll be able to relate.
Yeah.
And you'll even have people come up to you afterwards.
Almost
say, "Can I hug you?" Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, see, you said that, and it's so I was living in North Carolina, and I got a song out called "Why Again" with a music video. It's about my brother that passed away, and in North Carolina, I met this guy that he was street. He was hood. Me and him got real cool. He was more on the street side, like gangster, and he knew I was into music, and I showed him the video. He broke down crying. He lost a brother.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he said that. See, he's giving me chills now because we portrayed like, oh, if you're a gangster, you're not gonna. He came and he wanted to give me a hug, show love. And I'm like, damn, my music touched this guy. And that's the stuff I feel like I'm in it for. That's the stuff that I feel like you're in it for. Like, and why we do shit like this is because it touches other people. Yeah. So, but to see that from that aspect, because just to see how he is on a deadly and then get vulnerable, back to vulnerability, like that speaks volumes. You can't make that up. You can't just make anybody do that. It has to be real. It has to be genuine. So, like, when I write my music, especially when it comes down to that, because it was about my brother, so it was real. Like, that, I remember the night of that the day of that recording, I during the recording, I had a big gallon of Henny, drinking it. That day was a mess for me. It was a mess. It was an emotional mess, but that spoke through the music through the day, through the recording of the video. And I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be in that form, but that's what it takes to show your art.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, with that being said, when it comes down to you as an actor, if you would have had, let's say we rewind time, right?
Okay.
We go back those 9 years. And knowing what you know now as the actor and you wanted to portray something, what would you have done with that?
I guess I would have pursued more stories that had substance. More stories where, there's more to the character. And it's hard to find those, though. It's really hard to find those.
Yeah.
But, now, today, man, things are different, man. Things are changing. The writing is changing. People are being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's something that we've said a lot.
Oh, yeah, it was, I spoke a lot on this.
When I was a kid, man, like, showing vulnerability was like weakness.
Yeah, no, 100%. I so with me, my grandpa, for example, he was the hardest, like hard-hearted. Like I don't even remember getting hugs from him. So like that's something I knew growing up. Like and like this day and age is different. Like mental health, like everything is more vulnerable. So I remember all that, and that's how I was raised. I was raised on my dad come, shake my hand, a little bit of hug, but it was never no like, my grandfather was stiff, like, you shake my hand, boy. Like you shake my hand. So I'll come shake his hand, and like even growing up to being a teenager, and I'm like, this is how I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to. I wasn't showing emotion. And people told me along my life, like, why are you so, like, you seem cold. Like I'm not cold hearted. The people that know me, they know, like, oh, okay, no, he's not. But people like, why, like, you just, like, something happens, and I'm just like, something bad can happen, but I won't show the emotion there, because I've never been the type to show emotion in front of people. But that's also because of, like, back to my grandfather. It was just like, grandfather was always like, things happen, and he's like, no, you go to show love, no, shake my hand. But during his last couple year, 2, maybe 3, I seen the soft side of him. He went to church. He changed, like, completely. I knew, like, he was vulnerable, and I'm already grown. Like, I'm already gone. I'm like, wow, like, I don't remember. He gave me a hug, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, because I'm so used to my grandpa being like, and my grandpa, I wish I had his, like about 6'8", 6'5", like, he's tall as shit. Yeah, tall as shit. And just big guy, big weight, and just tough all around. But you're not gonna hug, you're gonna shake my hand, and it's always been like that. To see him change and become vulnerable, like, and then from then to now, seeing how life is, more people are vulnerable, opening up, especially men, because that's the big thing. Men weren't the ones, we weren't able to be vulnerable, but to see that now, I mean, it's a good thing, because it's a healing process.
And we're all human.
Yeah. And I also want to step into, I see the way you dress. I see what you have on your neck, your ear. Is there anything in, like, as far as symbolism in regards to any of that?
All of it.
Is that tattoos on your left ear?
Yeah, I was gonna say about the tattoos.
Oh no, these are just drawings, man. This is something that me and my nephew do.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we have, like, our own symbols.
Yeah.
Kind of like a language that we came up with.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this one here is my daughter, and I have a daughter. She's 21, but this is the first time she wrote her name by herself, right? And she was so excited, man. I had a friend that lived downstairs who was a tattoo artist. So I was like, yo, man, tattoo that on me. Right? But yeah, this year, this one came from Madre Tierra, which I was telling you guys about earlier. It's a wellness farm in Livingston, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Mayra Leo. I'll definitely check it out, man. Madre Tierra. Where they teach you, like, yoga, meditation, being vulnerable. They do these workshops where, they blindfold you and you stand and they switch you in front of a stranger and you hug them.
Oh wow.
You embrace them. They have dance therapy where they blindfold you and you just boogie, things like that. There's a cold plunge. So I got that from over there, man.
Okay.
And the Tree of Life is something that my mother, she's really into those things, man. And this one here is an elephant, which my abuela was really big into elephants and hummingbirds. Yeah, and this one my mom gave me. And this is my peyote button, for the other side. And the obsidian calendar, the Aztec calendar. And this is something my mother got me as well.
Wow.
Yeah. These are all the mojo.
How about the owl earring?
The owl earring came from a friend of mine in Houston. Yeah, she made this one. And this one's my sister's. And she has the other one. It's like an Aztec sun.
Yeah, like I feel like the way you dress, it shows your character, it shows your personality. That's why I wanted to ask, and that goes back to what I said earlier. Like when people come on this podcast, I just don't want to know about the movie guy. I don't want to know about the director. I don't want to know about the singer, the artist. I want to know those things, but I also want to know about Carmona, like
who you are.
Who you are.
Yeah.
And you asked me that question earlier, like what would I do now if I'd known the things then? I think more than anything, I might would have realized a little sooner, like just how important, like what it is you're doing, and whether you know it or not, you're representing your hood. When they see me, they see their hood.
Yeah.
When they see me, they see their friend. When I go and speak, my Spanish is a certain way, and once I let loose in that language, then my people know me. They're like, oh, ese vato's de aquellas. Like, there's no bullshit here,
Right.
man. Because, we've already been through that. And once you get older, man, you see bullshit a mile away.
Right.
And those kind of things, man. And ultimately, man, those are the people that will, watch your work is the people. And it could be someone that you've never met before.
Yeah.
Man. So I think maybe I would have realized that sooner. I just didn't realize, like, the significance of being the first of something, of offering something that's beautiful, and not saying like it has to be a big movie star or this and that, or that we can be other things. Like we have beautiful stories, that kind of thing.
I love that.
You said so your earrings. You said it was like Aztec.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just curious. Do you have any type of like Indian blood in you?
I do. I do.
What are you?
That I don't know.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting journey. You might find out later on.
For sure.
Because my parents told me I'm Sus because of my mom's side, and then my dad I'm Aztec.
We all have different cultures, but like with me, I'm Puerto Rican, and a lot of people don't know, but that's made up of Spaniard, made up of African, and also made up of Indian. And that's one thing that I feel as though, going back to like your symbolism and what he's talking about, like I don't even think this generation really looks into stuff like that. So I interviewed a lot of artists, and I noticed here a lot of the Mexican culture. This is big on Mexican culture, and a lot of them don't know that they're Mexican. Like some people don't know. I'm like, what are you? What's your ethnicity? What's your culture? And a lot of them say, I don't know. Family, are they Hispanic? Are they Mexican? Or are they? And they're like, I don't know. These are grown men and women saying that, and I'm like, wow, like, I think you should know. Like, and I think, like going back to King of the South, where you were saying like the roots, and back to the Mexican culture. I think people should know that, and based off of what I'm saying and what you're doing, what's something you can tell people that should know their culture, something to go help them do that research? Is there anything you can say based off of that?
Well, in the times that we live in right now,
Yeah.
the narrative that's been pushed is that we're illegal, that we're illegal immigrants. But we've been here.
Right.
We've never left.
Right.
We were here when the Spaniards came. We were here
Right.
when the Europeans came. We were here, and we've always been here. This is where we're from.
Mm-hmm.
We're not from some other place. In
Yeah.
fact, the people that are European, they're from another place, and they're actually the invaders.
Yeah.
But that narrative has been kind of pushed where it makes us feel that way. Well, and the King of the South deals with the legend of Aslan. And
You were telling me about that, yeah.
Aslan is the thing where back in the 1836, when Mexico sold the United States, or Mexico sold their territory to the United States. That was California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Well, there is a belief that one day the people will rise back up and reclaim that territory, right? And that's kind of what the message of King of the South is, man. Is that even though we've kind of been swept under the rug, our numbers have been growing. I mean, just look at culture. We're everywhere, and we built this country, man. It was the people that worked, man. The people that make the highways. The people that work on houses, that work on lawns, that pick your fruit, that pick your vegetables. That's all raza, man.
Yeah,
That's
raza,
all raza. And I would highly encourage you to study that, man.
It's like Viva, I think it was Vive de la Raza or something like that. My little brother and me, we used to say that back in Chicago. And I totally forgot how it was actually said, but
and you can trace back Mexicanos, which were Mexica.
Yeah.
And you can trace them back. But we've always been here, man.
Yeah.
We've never left.
See, this is what I wanted. This is what I want you to hopefully it inspires people to be like the people that I was talking about. They're like, I don't know, or never thought about it. Hopefully they see this and be like, damn, wait, let me go do that research. What you were going to say?
Yeah, well, we've always been here. We were here before they got here,
and
we'll be here when they're gone.
Right.
Because we're the majority.
Yeah.
Of course, they don't want us to know that, but we are the majority.
Yeah.
I think we've been the majority for a really long time.
Glad you brought that up because actually when I used to work for Walmart, this lady, she was I think she was Dominican or Puerto Rican, and she asked me you don't mind me asking like what are you? I was like, what do you mean what am I? And then she was she's like, what's your race? And I was like, well, I'm Hispanic. And when I told her that, she was over here like, no, she asked me what's my ethnicity, and I said, well, I'm Hispanic. And she was all like, okay, and like she was all like, so I said Puerto Rican. I was like, no, I'm Hispanic. And I kept telling her over and over that I'm Hispanic. And she told me, well, Puerto Rican is not just this and that. It's, it has, there are some Puerto Ricans that are Hispanic, and all this. And all like,
what she meant to ask you was, what type of Hispanic are you?
Yeah. But when she asked me that, I was confused. I was like, I don't know. Because now you're telling me this, like, hold up, I'm Puerto Rican? Like, hold on.
She confused you.
Confused me. Because this whole time, I thought I was Hispanic. So I've been rocking with it, but yeah.
But a lot, those terms are confusing.
Yeah.
Because
the terminology, right?
They try to group us all into one, and we're really, I mean, we are, but we're not.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican is different from Mexicano.
Yeah.
We have different, different cultura.
Yes, Cubanos are different. Dominicans are different. They're all different, but they put all of us as one. Why do they do that?
Is this easier for them?
Yeah, honestly, when you try to like learn stuff like that, it's like it could get confusing. My ex-girlfriend, right? We actually had an argument because she was over here like, she was like, why do you keep telling people you got a quarter of Indian in you? I'm like, because I do. I was like, I'm Aztec and I'm Sioux, and she's over here like, no, that's Native, and I was all like, oh, here we go. So when I was telling people I'm Indian, she's thinking I'm saying I'm from India.
It's their perception,
and it's like I was like, I don't get that. And then she tells me like, no, this is this is that, and she was trying to like make a whole big debate about it. I was over here like, all right, you win. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of labels.
Yeah, it really is.
It could be in life. It could be in your hobbies or your dreams and goals, what is your thrill?
Thrill. What is my thrill? My thrill, man, is actually creating. That's what brings me the thrill of creating. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, like when the first frame was just me and this dude, and then who we are 2 weeks or a couple of weeks ago, we're in San Antonio, the Cesar Chavez parade with 14 people. So the thrill is creating. Yeah. So, you've created these characters, and now these people now are making these characters their own. They're walking how they walk. You've asked them to dress a certain way, but yeah, man. We filmed in the evening, and when I got out of the car, one of the actors' mother was there, Bobby, and she goes, "Hey, man, I've never seen you so happy." And I said, "What?" You? Yeah. She goes, "Look at you. Look how happy you are." And
how did it feel?
Oh man, it felt good. Because you get so caught up in everything, you kind of sometimes forget to breathe.
Yeah.
You forget to well, why the fuck am I doing this? Yeah. Is it out of necessity or because I don't have to? Right. It'd be easier to just say, you know what? If I don't have the capabilities, I'm just gonna write it and that's it, right? But it's challenging, man. And I'm up for the challenge, obviously, because these things keep happening, man. Yeah. So the more things that come on the plate, I'm like, well, I take that as a sign. Yeah. Keep busy. Keep busy, man.
No, I like that. I like that. And, based off of what you said, that is your thrill. Mm-hmm. And I've learned over the years when it comes to stuff like that is appreciating the now, because that's what you were saying, right? Appreciating the now, here moments, and because I get real busy, between my 9 to 5 and doing all this.
I remember your wife telling me that.
yeah. So to that point, I'm always doing something. I could be watching a movie and a show, but like she said, I'm always moving though. I'm always doing something. I have to get up and do something.
He's not lying, yo.
Yeah.
Bro, I tell you, bro, freaking, I'm over here trying to have him watch The Mayans, right? Trying to get him into the show. I was like, you're missing out. I was like, oh, hold on, he's doing the paperwork, bro. He's over here sweeping in his office. Bro, he's organizing, bro. I was like, you're missing it, bro. Bro, I was all like, what the heck is do remind me of my mom? Because my mom's like that. My mom's very, she likes to be productive, and she likes to do multitask, do so many things at once. I was like, this guy's never going to understand the show. And it's funny because it was like, hey, bro, what happened, bro? He'll come up to me, what happened, bro? He was like, it's like all of a sudden this guy, this guy died or this and that. Like, who killed him? And I said, bro, you didn't see who killed him? They literally talked about it. Mm-hmm. They literally put the other set of it and the which was Sons of Anarchy. I was like, they literally sat down about had their whole little meeting that they're about to go kill one of the Mayans, and they pulled up in that van, and he was like, I was like, nah, bro, nah. I said, bro, go ahead, rewind it. Rewind it, right? Just like again. I'm like, oh,
it's just like God, something in me. But the reason I said that because now during stuff like that is I do look back. I don't catch it all the time, but now I'm aware. Yeah, I get an awareness sometimes where I'm in the present moment, and this example, I'm aware that we're here. We're creating another form of art just by doing this, and this is something this gives me makes my hair stand up because we're 4 strangers in a room being vulnerable, speaking to each other like we knew each other forever. So this is something I appreciate. And
me too,
man. Yeah, I definitely appreciate you coming on, being vulnerable, and speaking about the things you spoke, even with your grandmother. I know that's something passionate and deep. You bring her up multiple times, and even my co-host, he coming here and joining me in the discussion and helping out. Like your cameraman Cody, he's just doing his thing in the background, which usually something I don't have, which makes me get another idea with my brain always working. I'm like, oh, I need somebody to do what Cody does, like in the background, because.
Oh, he's looking for work.
Listen, you looking for work? East side, how far is that?
He says in the far. Well, depending.
No, East Texas.
Oh,
East Texas.
Yeah.
5-hour drive.
How far?
It's about 5-hour drive.
Ooh, that's a 5-hour drive. Ooh, I don't know if I got 5-hour money yet.
But them plates were pretty good.
Hey, you want some food?
Good.
I mean, you want some free promotion? Yeah, we can talk. We can talk. But yeah, so my point is, like, I definitely feel as though we need to appreciate these moments, and for people out there that get busy like I want to do this and that, we do gotta appreciate those moments. And I'm learning to do that.
Yeah, isn't that strange, man? That's something that you have to learn.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Everything's a learning process.
yeah, you know, you create so much that you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I think Cody is the one that kind of brings me back, and he's like, "Hey, watch this."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I even forgot we shot that."
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, because you're so far ahead, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a process to learn to sit down,
Yeah. And take it in.
take it in.
Take it in.
Yeah, art and creativity is like a beautiful thing. Like in general, me as a kid, mixing 3 colors together, man, and that made one color. It's like, what?
Mm.
That
The
made
little
this
things.
color, that made blue, that made purple. Wow, it's crazy, you know. And as a kid, you're so amazed by it. And it's weird, man, because when you're a kid, you got a brain like a sponge. And my dad always told me, y'all got a brain like a sponge, you know, as a kid. My dad always told me to use it, and I did use it. I used to play piano, draw, dance, sing, and rap. All 5. I gave it all up for rapping. I'm not even the best rapper out there. I'm not even famous yet. And I gave it all up for that one talent. And people tell me I can still get back to the talents I've had. I just got to practice on them again. And I could get them, you know. So creativity is a beautiful thing. You seen Blood and Blood Up? Tell this guy he needs to see.
He's been trying to get me to watch it for the past 2 months.
For real.
Like,
It's a story. It's written by Jimmy Santiago Vaca. It's a very Shakespearean type story, man.
Mhm.
You know, three vatos that just go on these different paths,
Yeah.
man. And, you know where it
I love the way you
takes
tell the story. Go ahead.
them.
Keep going.
It's really beautiful,
Yeah.
man, because you know that one situation affects the 3 of them in a different way.
Uh-huh. It's funny because he's been persistent on, and I'm always doing something. So
This
I'm
was like quote Blood and Blood Out a lot.
getting-
He's over here like, he'll look at me, I'm like, bro, it's a movie. Chill out.
yeah, he's big on like movie quotes and stuff like that. So when it comes to Blood and Blood Out quotes, he does me. I'm like, I never saw it, so I wouldn't know. But he's been trying to get me to watch it for the past couple months now.
Actually, the gentleman that does the painting in that does the actual painting, his name was Alan Hernandez.
Oh, really?
He was here from San Antonio, man. I met him a few years ago too.
Yeah, Damien Chapo comes out here a lot.
Oh, does he? Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. And when I met Adan, you know, he was so past that work. Like he had other work that no one really knew about. You know,
Yeah.
because they were all really concerned with that Blood and Blood Out work.
Yeah.
So when I did get to meet him, you know, that's what we talked about, man. It was awesome meeting him, man.
No, I bet, man. I mean, the person that actually drew the art in the movie, that's
I'm gonna
beautiful.
tell you what. When he died at his funeral, we were sitting inside the church house, man. Jesse Borrego gave the eulogy.
Yeah.
They had Adan's last painting was up there, and he had painted his Stacey Adams.
Yeah.
Right. So then they had this table, and they had his Stacey Adams, they had his paints, and then they had like his chucks. And while we're sitting there in the ceremony, you hear like a rumble of cars, and we looked outside, and it was these lowriders. They came and they just did a circle around the church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sign of respect.
Yeah, you told me about that too, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you told me about the
So,
lowrider.
sign of respect, man,
Wow.
for sure.
No, most definitely. That's awesome.
Oh, any questions again from the audience? Cody, you had a good one earlier.
I did. I was thinking about that question when we got here. I was like, bring up the thing. But let me think.
Again, for y'all that's listening, that's Cody in the background. He's Mr. Carmona's cameraman. He's a guest in the audience right now.
I'd say, tell him about the man that you wrote the poetry for, the Big Bear.
Oh man, yeah, dude. So, writing has always like saved my life, man. It's not writing and basketball actually.
Writing and basketball.
Yeah, and,
We're coming full circle now, huh?
Yeah, man. So in my 20s, man, I was pretty wild. I lived in Austin, in the, like mid-90s.
Heard Austin's wild.
Yeah. This was like 93, 94.
Yeah.
I developed a really bad drug habit, man.
Oh,
You know, and got into some trouble, man. Went to a rehab. I went to prison for a year and a half, almost 2 years, man. And when I was in there, I was in my cell, and this big old white dude came, right? And he had a big swastika. He was a polar bear, man. That's what they called him, right?
Yeah, the swastika?
Yeah, he had a
Tattoo?
swastika right here. And they called them the polar bears or whatever, right? So he came and he knocked on my cell. Like, there wasn't a door there. It was just like bricks, but he knocks on it, man.
Yeah.
And that really got my attention because, like, even in there, like that was respect.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna knock on your door, man. So then your cellmate like leaves to give you space so this person can come in. And he said, "Hey man, so I heard you're a poet." And I said, "I am." And the thing about when you're locked up, man, is that everyone got a mom, everyone's got a brother, someone graduated.
Still human.
Doesn't matter who you are, what color, it's somebody's birthday.
Right.
So that was my niche, and I would write something different for everybody.
Oh, wow.
So he came to me and he's like, "Hey man, I heard you're a poet and this and that. And, my little girl's birthday's coming." I said, "Well, how old is she gonna be?" "She's gonna be 7." I said, "Okay, well I just need to know a few things, I said, "What's her favorite color?" He goes, "I don't know." I said, "Okay, well what's her favorite song? Her favorite kind of music?" "I don't know." "What's her favorite cartoon?" "I don't know."
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But each thing that I asked him about her, I don't know. This dude got smaller, and smaller, and smaller.
He probably felt that.
And he broke.
Oh.
He broke.
Wow.
He
This
wet.
big guy with the
He wet.
swastika stick. Wow.
He wet, right? And he's like told me his whole life story.
Wow.
Why he wasn't there, because of his drug habit, because of this and that, how he's falling short and this and that. So
the polar bear.
Polar bear, man. He gets up, man, and then for that week, if I see him out in the day room or at chow, he won't look at me. Won't make eye contact. Go out to the yard, won't make eye contact.
He felt too vulnerable.
So a few days later, I was done with the piece that I wrote for him. So I went out to the yard. I saw him. I walked up. And I was still learning some of the rules. I walked up and they were like, "Whoa, like, you can't walk up like that." He's like, "No, he's cool."
Oh, shit.
And I said, "I just want to let you know, come by. I'm done with it. Come pick it up." He came by my cell and picked it up. He goes, "Hey man, I appreciate that." I said, "No, you're welcome." He says, "No, I appreciate the other thing you did." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, I broke down in here in front of you."
And you didn't.
He goes, "You could have used that
Right,
against
him,
me,
yeah.
but you didn't." He said, "That tells me a lot about you."
And was this prison or?
Yeah, this
Prison,
is
okay.
Yeah. So, when you're in those places, man,
Every little thing you can
Yeah.
use against somebody.
I could have went off and told the homies,
Yeah.
and they could have just went and sat next. And this is how they would do it.
Mhm.
One would sit here and one would sit here, and they watch TV,
Mhm.
and they would say, "Oh man, that's my daughter's favorite cartoon."
Fucking with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
"Oh, your little girl, what's the song she
Get in
likes?"
his mind.
Oh my God. Because that's how they do there, just to unnerve you, to unhand you, man. But the fact that I respected that, that they protected me.
Yeah.
A lot of them did because I was the house poet. You can't get rid of it.
See, that's good. That's why I like having guests and all that, especially guests that know some of your stories, because that's pretty deep. May I ask what made you go into prison? What
Oh yeah.
came about?
Well, like I said, so I was in the 90s and I got hooked on drugs.
Uh-huh.
I was staying in someone's house. I stole their check.
Mm.
Did forgery,
Mhm.
right? I got a probation.
Back in the 90s, you said,
Yeah.
right?
I got a probation out of that, and I wouldn't do the probation. There was a lot of regulations.
So you said, fuck the probation, just go to prison.
Well, no, they revoked the probation.
Oh, they revoked the
and then,
probation. Okay.
Sent me.
Gotcha. How long were you in for?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Wow.
And then I did some stints in rehab as well.
Okay. In regards to what you were, the drugs you were on, how do you overcome that?
Maybe about 14 years ago, maybe almost 15, I almost overdosed.
Oh,
and when I was
14 years ago?
Yeah, about
Wow.
14 or 15.
Wow.
Yeah, and
like you went to the hospital? Or?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and when I woke up,
What was the drug, if you don't mind me asking?
Shit, what drugs?
You said multiple drugs.
Coke.
So you said you avoided probation, right?
Hold on. I want him to finish what he was gonna say first.
Yeah, it was a combination: coke, speed, some eggs, I'm sure. And when I woke up,
Like one of the speedballs, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Wow.
and when I woke up, the doctor's like, goes, "Hey, you know what?
Close.
I am a doctor, but if you continue, you're gonna die."
Wow.
And I think that was enough for me to, like, hey, you know what? Let me
Fall back.
Slow
fall
down.
back,
Yeah.
slow down, or But you realize, man, is that the drugs aren't the problem. The drugs are a symptom of the problem.
Yeah,
And
that's facts.
you are the
Are
problem.
the problem.
And I had an attitude of like, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. When I got arrested, right, and I was saying, fuck it, and they're bringing me in, and I saw my reflection, and it hit me, right? I'm it.
It's me.
It's me.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fuck it, I'm fucking myself, man.
Wow.
Over and over, And those little realizations, man, and those breaks, like, they did me good, man. I did, I studied a lot, I read a lot.
Yeah.
In that time that I had, man.
So back to that. What like what I was saying? How did you overcome it? Like how did you specifically overcome that situation?
I started viewing life in a different way.
Mhm.
I just started, thinking things, a different way of thinking, man. And just realizing that life is hard, life isn't personal, it's just life. Like, life doesn't go out of the way to screw you over or anything.
Right.
That's just everybody, man. Everybody's got problems.
So basically, back to what you said, when you realized it was you, that's what made you make those changes and push. What you want to say? I know.
No, it's just because how you were saying, you said you avoided probation, right? You said like you were as far as like the regulations and everything. So basically, you got an MTR to end up back there.
The motion to revoke.
Yeah. I learned that being in jail. Like that's that's why when you said that, I was trying to think of the name, but
yeah. And the thing about that, man, is that I had like traveled throughout Texas, and I had picked up charges, small charges or whatever, man. But you start sobering up, and you're like, I was there. Like,
no, for real. I never want to go back, bro.
Like,
I never want to go back.
Like, I don't remember being there. Well, you have charges there. I go, for what?
Wow.
Like you ran stop signs or speeding or things like that, man. It's a real wake up call. And if you're lucky enough, I guess if you're blessed enough to make it on that other side and make it through, life is just so much better.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm at a point now where I don't want to numb anything.
Yeah.
I want to be as motherfucking present as I possibly can.
Soak it all in.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on, man. And the other thing too, man, that you have to learn is sometimes you have to learn to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
You have to learn to appreciate what you're doing.
Right. Without being like egotistical,
Exactly.
like this, like some people could take it that way, but you gotta accept that and be in the present moment and be like, I've done this. That goes back to what we're saying, being in the now, and like, oh, I'm doing this. Let me take time to, I'm him right now.
and the healing process is up to you.
Yeah.
You only heal as much as you want. As much as you want to be vulnerable, as much as you want to put out there. Like some of these things I haven't really told anybody.
Oh wow.
So but I feel comfortable enough.
I appreciate that.
And it's part of my history. Wasn't ashamed to do it then.
Yeah, man. You got a lot of good intel. Especially like I could definitely tell you're very poetic. Just because how you just explained to him how blood and blood out was. I couldn't you explained that like way better than I would have. Because like you said,
He's a writer.
Shakespeare-wise-
He's a good storyteller.
I know this. So Shakespeare-wise, I can see it though. I can see your vision. Like I can see what you're saying. And I was like,
But you're gonna love King of the South. Though.
There you go.
all right, well, that's good. Cause
And I'm looking for some music, guys. So
okay.
Oh yeah.
if y'all know anybody,
Yeah, we know everybody. Wait.
Great. No. The thing I love about Blood and Blood Out is like it. To me, it just like has a lot of, it has a message in general. Of course, me watching it over and over again, I was as a kid, I was just thinking that it was funny, certain situations and things like that. But then when I started getting older, realizing that it actually is part of life, and there's different aspects of things. Matter of fact, I have two little brothers. So my little brother that comes before me, we call him Paco. He's Paco.
Okay.
And I'm Crucito, and then my little brother, because he's more white complected than all of us, he's Mico. Right?
Crucito, that's
So-
your new name on the podcast.
So my brother being Paco, my brother's a savage, bro. My little brother's a savage. When he first got his Glock 17, this dude would always be branding it. Always be like this, listening to NBA YoungBoy. He'd listen to his music like that, whatever, and I'm like, dang, this dude's a hothead, bro. My little brother's a hothead, bro. Like, calm down, bro. You just got the gun. And I understand he knew what he was doing. This dude would, like, empty clips by just going like that, and they would, like, shoot out. I'm like, bro, chill out, bro. Do that in my car. Like, nothing like, hey, chill out, bro. But he knew what he was doing. But that savage him, maybe he is still him, but that dude's in the army now. And the crazy thing is, Paco ended up going that because, I think he didn't want to go to jail, so he ended up going that route instead. And my brother is in the army.
That's what's up, man.
He was a truck driver originally.
So now he can put those skills to
So,
use.
right, yeah.
Yep, and now he's in the
You
army.
get paid for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Travel the
Now
world.
he's in the army. And how you were mentioning earlier, you were saying, like, I am him, right? My little brother mentioned that to me the other day. He was like, bro, I'm telling you, bro. Like, even though he was drunk, but when you're drunk, too, even, like, when you're drunk, your actual emotions come out. Your actual feelings come out. But he looked at me like, I'm him, bro. And I had to record this because I was like, what is he talking about? What does he mean? I'm him. What does he mean? And he was like, I'm him, bro. I'm him. And I was like, cause my little brother ain't never said he was him. He always was like, I'm a Leo, bro. I'm a Leo. Yeah. But he ain't never say I am him specifically. And the fact that y'all mentioned that.
Yeah, it's a different
That makes sense,
mindset,
too.
man.
Yeah.
It's like when I shoot hoops, and I say Jordan.
Jordan.
Oh, bro, I used to do
Jordan.
that, bro. What
Okay,
the heck?
So then my
Yeah.
brother, my younger brother,
Yeah.
when he shoots, he's
Yeah.
Kobe.
The
Yeah.
So then my nephew,
Oh my god.
when he shoots,
12-year-old.
no, this is
Different nephew.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's 19. When he shoots, when my other nephew shoots, he's like Bron.
Ron. Oh, see how it
And the other
is.
one,
The age, right?
the age, right? The
yeah.
other one's Curry, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, Gio, when he was little, my nephew that's 12, we all shot and we all said our thing. When Gio shot, you know what he said? Gio.
Oh.
I'm him. I'm me. I'm me.
It's crazy. It's crazy you just brought this up, bro. Because as a kid, I was into Michael Jordan, obviously, because me being from Chicago. But for some reason, when I was shooting, my brother would say Jordan. My brother would say Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was into basketball, but not too much to where I played it, right? But when I ended up just playing with them, in general, I would always say money when I shot my shots.
Money.
And all of a sudden, my name is Dinero.
Dinero.
It's crazy.
I actually have a character in King of the South named Cowboy Dinero.
Oh, really?
Cowboy Money.
That's dope.
Like,
But yeah, so that mindset of his, they're different. They don't want to wear Jordans. They want to design their own shoes.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
Jordan
yeah.
wants to wear my shoes.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
yeah.
And that's a whole mindset.
Yeah, no,
That
it's
is.
definitely,
No, it
definitely
is.
different. Yeah. Everything. We live in a new world. This is a new
Man,
age.
sure.
New tech. So, do you have any questions for us?
I'm trying to think. No, because we talked before the podcast. And
Either or. Just you shoot out a question if you want, as far as anything.
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Well, currently right now, I'm actually in college. For digital forensic is my major. It's actually going to take me 4 years to finish, just because I'm part-time in college and full-time at Amazon. So, but in 5 years, I plan to be financially stable to the point where my daughters are going to have it all, man. Stuff that I didn't have, like me, I didn't get to have as a kid, where, I was able to have everything I wanted. Of course, my parents, they had 2 jobs. They worked as much as they could into getting me and everything that they could try to get me, right? But I want my daughters to just have the life that, or like a little girl's dream of, man. And it's like, my kids, they see how I am now. They see how I'm taking, how as far as I'm taking care of them and everything like that. But they're little right now, man. They get older, they want a car, they want a house, things like that. And I want to be the one to where, when I die, I leave that for them. They have a car, 2 cars, if anything. They have transportation. They got a house, and as long as they continue school, they're gonna have all of it. Like, I want it to be like that, to where they don't have no worries, man. Because in this world, I don't want them to go through that, because, like, yeah, as humans, we're supposed to make mistakes and we're gonna have our worries. But if I could prevent it, I want to prevent it as much as I can, because I went through a lot, man. I went through a lot. Trials and tribulations is definitely real, because you could go with you could end up getting married and think that person's for you, and things just turn into shit, and you end up doing stuff that you don't expect that you would have ever done. And once the lessons learned, it's like, I'm not gonna be that person anymore. Now I gotta live my life for them. I gotta live my life for them.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I feel like you brought a lot of him. Usually he asks questions, but I feel like this podcast, he's asked the most and been the most, like, intrigued. Like, usually he asks his questions, he does his thing, but, like, I feel like this podcast was just a little bit different for him, because I feel like he just opened up himself a lot more dealing with this, and I think that's dope. Like, me witnessing from the outside, looking, I'm like, and this is why I can see the growth in all the aspects. Do you have kids?
I do.
You do have kids? Mm-hmm. How many? How old?
I have 2. I have one that's 21 and a 12-year-old.
Nice. Do you got anything to say to the audience out there?
Well, I do have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Actually. So
you tried it.
Yeah. So you dabbled in acting.
Yeah, I know.
Is that something that you want to pursue?
Yeah, I feel like I can do whatever I want, and I've done actually more stuff than that. Even I lived in California for 2 years, so I've done stuff out there, and I'm like, even I meet celebrities and I'm so normal. Like, I could be normal around the most, and it's just I feel like everyone's the same. I feel like back to what we were talking about earlier. I feel as though the same way I say when you treat people with respect, you get with respect. But the same way I feel as big celebrities, I feel like you are me and I'm you. Like, that's it. But to answer your question, yes, 100%. And I feel like I'm great at it.
Well, yeah, you're a natural.
Yeah.
You're a natural. And as a director, that's kind of what you pick up on. You see what the strengths are of the person. And I never really hone in on their weakness, right? Because I believe that whatever's strong enough there, like that'll be plenty. Yeah. And I prefer working with people that haven't really done that kind of work, because it's brand new to them.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to watch them, like, if they nail it.
Yeah.
Or if they get it, it's really
a satisfaction.
Yeah, and it's infectious, man.
Yeah. Well, let me know, man. I'll be down to do some acting with you as well. So how me and him met is through Cindy.
Cinderella Promotions.
Yeah, Cinderella Promotions. Shout out Cinderella Promotions. Her management company. Was you here for that podcast? I don't.
Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah, you were here for that podcast.
Yeah, who was it?
Gabriel.
Yeah.
She manages her son.
Yeah.
So, but
and,
Laredo, Texas. Yep. Exactly. Great people's great personality. Definitely, because she introduced me to him.
Okay.
And so we was talking about doing some video work. But that's the same gig that I just got back from in Austin. We were talking about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually I extended that gig longer than expected. I just got back, what?
Yeah, because you told me that it was
a couple days ago.
Yeah, so I was out there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks, nothing. Yeah, it's ended up. Yeah, but I'm definitely glad we met. I'm glad she introduced me to you because I'm looking forward to even doing more. Whether it's another podcast, whether it's some acting, directing, helping you with some camera work, even meeting Cody right now. Like you said earlier, it's all about it's all about that. It's all about us connecting.
And that's the only way we can make it.
Yeah,
That's
the only way the world goes around, huh?
Yeah,
You network and it goes like that.
No, definitely. Oh, I actually wanted to say this. This was something I was thinking about earlier. When you said when you took that piece and turned it into that Wetback number 3 character. It's funny you said. So like I see shows, and when I look at shows, I don't only look at the show. I look at the camera work. I look at everything. Do you do that, Cody?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the angles. I'm looking at everything, and I've seen shows where I'm like, I look at a character and I be like, I want to do something. I want to create like a mini series on YouTube. And with everything I got going on, I think I'm going to end up doing it. I think I'm going to do...
Okay, this is what I tell people all the time, man, that are thinking about filming. I tell them, I said, well, do you have like a page that you know for sure? Like you know the dialogue, you know where it takes place. You can have a spot, shoot it. Just shoot that. But it doesn't have to be the beginning. It doesn't have to be the middle or the end. It's proof.
Wherever.
It's proof. It's proof of concept, man. It's proof that you can look at yourself and say, okay, this is something. And then you go to the next thing, and next thing you know, it kind of builds up.
See? This is why I like this. This is like why I like doing this. Because, and I want to be a little bit selfish. Because I like to soak in from my guests. So everything you're telling me, I learn from. Like, I really genuinely love to learn. So when you're telling me this, you're inspiring me at the same time. As well as inspiring others. But, hey, this is for the thrill. And I'm going to take this in.
For the thrill. Oh, that's a nice plug.
Yeah. You like that, right?
Yeah.
But do you have any closing statements for the audience?
Imagination never lies.
Imagination never lies.
And remember your ABCs.
Remember your ABCs.
Always be chingon.
I like that.
That's
nice.
funny.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming through, showing love, being vulnerable, stating a piece of your story, a piece of your history. One thing I say also, this podcast is for when I tell people, because I like to have everyone on here. Again, back to that. Whether you're famous, not famous, you're coming up, everyone has a story to tell, and I want you to show that story. So maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, someone will be able to see it, whether it's your family member looking back, like, this is Carmona on this interview, based off, this is a part of the documentary. I know you and Cody shooting that documentary. This could be a part of that history, whether, whoever, maybe 50 years from now, let's go look at our grandpa. Let's go, you know what I'm saying? So you have this. And I feel as though this is what I do this for, and this is what it's about. Again, this is For the Thrill Podcast, episode 58. We got special guest Carmona in the building. Co-host Poppy X De Niro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Cody
sir.
behind the scenes doing his thing. And your host, MC Thrills. Appreciate y'all.
That was good.
That was good, man. That was definitely good.
When I move just fine, trust me.
That was good.
So much work for y'all. Elect me to be the dope man serving y'all. You can spend your last 5, it's worth it, y'all. Cause so much work for y'all. I know this economic depression hurting y'all, but I got so much work for y'all. Once the clientele popping, I'm setting up shop and knocking my competition smooth out of the box till the word can't be removed out of the block, and y'all cut like to be removed out of the drop.